All right, we are. It should start sort of. Hey everyone. We'll be starting soon. Yeah. Cool. Let me just quickly see if that is working as well. So it looks like it should be fine. Yep. Awesome. All right. So that's working as well. Yeah. So no, I'll just ignore that. I'll just mention that obviously doubles, there aren't any more doubles. At least that's what we know and understand. But I haven't got like a latest version of the fixture ticker from Lego Mane or like another one available.
I think we might have gone live, by the way. I think.
Oh. Hello, friends. Welcome back to another Off the Cuff chat with me, FPL Mess. We're just having a laugh because obviously I went live and yeah, we're just chatting away and just kind of going through the fixture tickers with Lego Mane and realizing that it's still got the doubles in there. So you got a little bit of a spoiler there into what we're going to be chatting about today. So welcome again. And I have a wonderful guest with me on the show for the second time. So I've got Pabs FPL Impulse over from the UK on bank holiday. It's May Day, right? It's bank holiday Monday. Is that right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is a bank holiday here today. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people hope people getting to tune in. Maybe they went out last night.
Yeah.
And getting to tune in today.
Yeah, I hope so. And like I mentioned, everyone got a bit of a spoiler, but welcome, Pabs. It's so great to have you on, and you're having a fantastic season as well. So I'm really looking forward to delving a little bit deeper into how your season has been going, what sort of, style of play, moves that you've been making, how that's been sort of working out for you, what's been working, what's not been working, that kind of thing as well. And of course, the game week is not over. So we're going to be discussing all things game week 35 so far, at least what we've learned. And we've got one more match to go for us over here in Australia. So it's just gone 9 p.m. over here in Australia. And so wherever you are, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's going to be tomorrow morning when that final match is on. So it's 5 a.m. So today we're going to be talking, I guess, a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the game week. It's been an absolute clusterfuck for me this game week so far. And it sounds like, Pabs, you're having a bit of a similar kind of situation as well. But yeah, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Pabs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I've run a little channel called FPL Impulse. It's my first year doing some content on FPL, and I've put a lot of my what's gone well this year down to doing the content and having to actually think about what I'm doing before I do a video on it. I think I've called myself FPL Impulse because I've always been very bad for making rash decisions, maybe not planning as much as I should in previous seasons and just going with my gut and maybe not thinking too much about things. Whereas this year I've had to do a little bit more planning and prepping because when I'm about to plan for a video and I think, should I really be bringing in X, Y, or Z and captaining them just because I feel it'll be exciting? And then if I can't explain it well enough in the video, I have to rethink my decision. So I think it's helped, and I've had quite a lot of luck as well this year. So there's been a few times where I've gone a bit rogue with a decision or a captain, and it's paid off. So you always need that bit of luck as well when things go well.
Yeah. You know what? So, tell us a little bit more about like the type of videos that you've been creating, actually. So, I think I stumbled upon your video, like you mentioned. We last caught up properly on a stream like this, game week 11. So such a long time ago. It was like two
Yeah.
thirds of a season before. Um, it's been a really long time and so much has happened since, and I think like you were doing really really well game week 11, and I think yeah, I was like way behind you back then as well, or I can't remember where I was at, but I feel like my season has just been a bit of a roller coaster, and yours has just been up, up, up and away. It's just so great to be following you over the past couple of months, especially while I've been look, I was in the UK for a couple of months, and I think I've mentioned that a few times on my stream now, that it's been a bit of a a timeout sort of period for me. But during that time as well, there was only a handful of people that I was chatting to in the background. Pabs, you were one of them, so I really do appreciate all your support in the background as well during that kind of weird
Of
tough
course.
period that I had. But you've had a really consistent season, and I was just going to bring up your season history, and I love how, like, when I took a screenshot of this, and I apologize for those that are sort of looking at this and it's tiny on the screen, and I'll try and zoom in a little bit when if you reflect on any of your particular game weeks that come to mind. But I think we were catching up around that game week 11 where you're around 55k, and this is a little bit upside down, so it shows like game week 1 from the bottom and it's got game week 18 at the top there. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, tell us a little bit about how your season's been going. Like, you had from game week 1 you were around 2 million, like that first game week for you, but you had some really nice big jumps in between, I think after game week 9 or something like that, where you hit sort of from 2 million to 350k ish, or thereabouts. Yeah, tell us how your season's been going.
Yeah, of course. I started off quite sort of nothing was really happening. Like as you see that, 2 millionth, and then it kind of started going up a little bit, and I'd stick around the 1 millionth rank. It wasn't really nothing was really changing that much. And it was funny enough, it was the last time that we spoke in game week 11 where things kind of, I don't know if there's the luck of coming on your show or what it was, but it really
I'll
kicked
take it.
on like a really good start to the season. So yeah, I think I remember probably maybe banging on about it too much, but I was talking about Bruno. Well, I suppose he returned quite well, but in that game week 11, I think I captained Bruno, and I think I was saying that I was going to take a risk because I'd been in around that million for quite a while, and I don't really like to follow the crowd just because people were saying you should get X, Y, or Z or captain a
Yeah.
certain player. I'd like to make those decisions based off how I feel, and I think I was also I knew I was going to be watching that game, and I like Bruno, so it wasn't really a data-driven decision as such. It was just I like Bruno. He was playing a bad team at Leicester, and I was going to captain him. And then from there, it made it a little bit easier because once you start doing well and a few decisions go your way,
Yeah.
you kind of get a bit of momentum, and I think that really helps because you're not panicking on decisions or transfers, and you can enjoy it a little bit more. So that's what I've done. I look at each game week, what players I might be watching, which players I like, which players are
Yeah.
doing well, what teams are doing well, and just try and target teams that aren't doing well. I know that sounds a bit simplistic,
It's so
but
simple,
that's what I've
isn't
been
it?
doing, and then it's kind of pushed me into. But it's a little bit like that. I remember thinking, Bruno's been doing okay. Leicester not doing too well back then. I went with Bruno, and there's a few times I've done things like that that have paid off. And there's been a couple of times I can't remember what game week I went against Salah as captain. I can't remember
Yeah.
who I went now, but Salah got a 17 pointer and my captain blanked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are times where it doesn't work as well, of course.
Yeah, that is quite tough. And you do make it sound so simple, but I just want to shout out to everyone that's in the chat as well. So we've got a bunch of folks in the chat, but there's about sort of 14 watching. Please do like and subscribe if this is the type of content. I should probably just do a really quick spiel as well on. We're not going to look at too much data in this stream. We're going to touch on aspects of it. We're going to talk very candidly about how our game weeks are going. and also looking ahead at the final 3 game weeks of the season as well. We're going to talk in particular about game week 36, but this is very off the cuff. There's very little preparation gone into the streams that I do or the videos that I make, and I think that's one of the reasons why, Pabs, I've really enjoyed your content. It's helped me a lot, throughout this season. And Manon, who's just made a comment saying, Pablo's videos and advice this year have been a godsend. So yeah, you've got a lot of really good supporters there in the chat as well who have tuned in, and so many of you have tuned in as well. So yeah, please do like and subscribe. It really does help. And it's been a tough season for me to maintain any content creation, and I have thought about sort of growing the channel a little bit, but just haven't been able to do that this season after a 3-4 months sort of hiatus. So hopefully I'll have some time over the break and come back next season with some different content. But yeah, so today we've got Pabs on to have a chat about how we tackle the last sort of couple of game weeks that we've got, and we're going to have a look at how our game week 35 has gone so far. And I just want to touch on, while we're talking about a little bit about you, Pabs, and your season history, I just want to touch on that, you went from around that sort of I'll take full credit that you came on my show around game week 11 and everything went great for you after that, but you had a really big jump there from game week 14, and I will zoom into it just so people can see in terms of like increases there. It's really, really impressive that you went from like game week 14 there, where you were at like 34k, to 1k in 4-5 game weeks or so, like by game week 18. And then just looking at your game week 19 down here, you hit 3k, 5k, and then you did have a couple of game weeks like game week 24-25 where you dropped to closer to 20k, but then up you went straight into top 1k pretty much. And I know, like right now, in terms of the how the overall rank is going, I've just put our last ones in there on the screen there. So I'm definitely on a red arrow. So I'm nowhere near 7.5k now. I'm closer to 10k. And Pabs, it looks like you're just outside at the moment of top 1000k. Or 1k, 1000k, 1k, and you've been hovering in 1k for since game week 30. So what changed during the last sort of, I don't know, like 4 to 8, 10 game weeks or so?
Yeah, I actually think definitely there's 2 captaincies that changed the game. I think Manon has actually just mentioned that as well. So Bruno Fernandes 17 pointers were massive in both times I did that. They really helped because it was kind of going against the herd a little bit in some ways. I also remember around probably 24-25, where I had a couple of bad weeks. I remember thinking that I was not thinking ahead enough. I was sort of maybe points chasing a little bit, and I remember started thinking about, okay, I need to think about when I'm going to play my chips, when it's right for my team. So I started making a lot of planning, with Live FPL or the planning tool that you can use. I started thinking about my team and how it would look over the next 4 or 5 when I wanted to play my chips as well. So instead of trying to make transfers for the next couple of weeks, I started either trying to hold them as best as I could ahead for the chips season, or making transfers that I knew I'd be happy to hold them and play them for the next 5-8 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped a lot because I started sort of playing my own game a little bit more. I knew I was going to free hit in 29, and then I was going to manage my game week 34 with transfers. And I thought I can target a few teams in 29 where other people won't be free hitting in 29. And I started planning towards that instead of holding it on for 34. So I think that helped, making a bit of a plan and sticking to it. I mean, you need luck, right? Because I remember around 25, planning for my free hit in 29, I had 1 or 2 transfers in the bank, and I said I need to save up to 4 or 5 by game week 29. Otherwise, my plan's out the window because I'm going to have to be taking hits. And luckily, no one got injured in that time that I needed to take out. So it meant that, bar maybe Gabrielle at one stage, my plan kind of just went how I needed it to for the most part. So around that sort of time, making plans for long term, playing my planning ahead for my chip strategy and things like that has helped. But it's obviously not hurt. It's hurting a little bit now because I couldn't free hit in 34, and that was not a great week. And on my team, maybe to the end of the season, which we'll talk about in a bit, could be
Yeah.
better as well.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I just noticed like you had a game week 29 was a really
Mm.
good game week for you. Like that's incredible. Like you hit 10k for game week rank is very, very high.
Yeah, I think that was my free hit week where I captain Bruno. And a lot of people weren't free hitting that week. A lot of engaged managers and a lot of content that you saw out there was to free hit for 34.
Yeah.
Whereas my team, I quite liked around 28, 30 onwards. So I thought if I free hit in 29, I don't have to take hits that week because I would have had to take a -12 or something to get 11 players.
Yeah.
So I thought if I free hit instead, I can save some transfers, deal with stuff from 34 onwards.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that it also worked out quite well as a free hit.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's so good. And, before we jump into how our game week 35s are going and have a look at some of the games as well that, have already been played. And I'd love to ask you about, like, in terms of your sort of managerial style. I think I asked you this question, in game week 11. Are you an eye test or are you a grass or a, analytics kind of, person? Like, how do you make decisions and has that changed over the course of the season?
I've always been very much more eye test than data. I'd probably say like a 70-30% towards eye test watching football. I do watch content, and with that, quite often you get presented data, which can definitely help in decisions and understanding patterns. But I think for a lot of it with football, for me, it's fixtures and how teams are playing. If a team's in good form and they've got good fixtures, I just think it's a bit of a no-brainer to try and go for those teams. And once we started realizing that teams like Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton were going to struggle this season, especially Leicester and Southampton have been struggling for a long time, you'd think, okay, well, if there's teams that are going to be playing against those teams upcoming and they're in half decent form, I'm going to go for those players.
Yeah.
Data's good, but I think you can overanalyze sometimes with the data. And then, I also think with data, towards this part of the season, you've got lots of good data. But you need 10, 15, 20 game weeks to start seeing patterns and things changing. And if you try and just go by that, you can do well. I know you can. A lot of people do very well, but it just doesn't suit me. And it takes the enjoyment out of the game a little bit for me if I just go by data, because I like to pick players that I like.
Yeah.
And if they've got good fixtures and they play well, then I'm happy. If I pick a player based on because someone said they've got good data and they don't deliver, I'm like, oh well, I didn't really want them in the first place. Or even if they do deliver, it doesn't feel like my decision. So I like having that feeling like I've made that decision myself based off what I've watched.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I've spent probably majority of this season not watching much football at all. Especially like the time that I was away. So 3 months, I definitely didn't watch any matches. And when I got back to Australia as well, I think I was watching a few matches here and there because obviously they're on at like stupid o'clock over here, and so it's really difficult to watch the matches. So I'm catching up on highlights if I have the time. I'll try and watch like the 9-minute highlights or 25-minute highlights, depending on, if I'm eyeing up certain players from a team based on fixtures and based on, data, basically. Then I'll go and watch the highlights for a little bit longer or something like that. But I find it really difficult to watch the matches because they're on at 2 a.m. or midnight or 1:30 or, like the final match of this game week is on at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And so whilst I'm an early riser, I'm not going to be able to get up that early to watch. Unless it's Liverpool playing. There's just no way that I'm going to be waking up, that early for the match. So, it makes it super challenging. But Pabs, thank you so much for just chatting through your season so far, because you're having an incredible season. I feel very lucky to have you on the show to just talk about how you've been playing and some of your picks as well along the way, and whilst we sort of start looking at the last few game weeks of the season that we have, it'll be really interesting to hear about like what sort of picks you're thinking about and why, and what kind of, why would you think in a particular way as well, like what sort of things are you looking out for, especially because the end of the season is where there's usually so much rotation. And we've got a lot of teams on the beach as well. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to hear about some of that. Let's have a quick chat about some of the matches, so far. So obviously, there's one match to go still, and I'd love to like just chat to you about like any standout sort of games for you so far, like and before we jump into how our game week is going as well. So standout matches, I think for me was the City Wolves one. I was expecting a shit ton more goals as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and we both captained Marmoush. In fact, I'm going to blame you slightly for my sort of change of captaincy on Marmoush.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's fair enough. I was very adamant that there was going to be more goals in this game. I just thought Wolves are in good form. They're quite attacking.
Yeah.
Man City at home. You don't often see a 1-0 at the Etihad. Right, so I just thought there's going to be some more goals. And there should have been, probably more for Wolves than Man City.
Yeah.
Queenie hit the post and Aitan Nuri hit the post, shot cleared off the line. There's a few things there that I thought, do you know what, that could have been a very different game. But 1-0, I just wasn't expecting that. And that actually went against the fundamental rule of myself. And I know we talked about this as well before the game. Like, captaining a player that plays so early on in the game week is awful. Because for the rest of the weekend, I felt like I couldn't enjoy the other games because I needed Salah to blank, I needed Mbermo to blank, and Isak to blank.
Yeah.
All were threats around me, even though I owned these players. They're all threats to me, and I thought I need all of these to blank, and I felt like I could barely enjoy those games based off that, which is really frustrating. So, yeah, that first game, I was expecting more goals in that game, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I was really surprised because so that match was on, I think, 5 a.m. or something for us over here in Australia, on at least in Sydney, on Saturday morning. And I woke up and I just saw the scoreline. And this is the worst thing about, living in a country where you don't get to watch, the matches as easily, but also notifications. So I've got like group chats going off, and you see a notification and it's City played shit, or they could have got so much more goals, and so I sort of looked at the score and I thought, oh no, how is it only 1-0? What happened? Maybe my captain got a goal, but no, it was KDB that got the goal. So I was really disappointed, and immediately I was like, damn, I should have just left it on Mbumo. But you weren't wrong in the thinking that it's a match that would have had, should have had more goals. And also, I was looking at Rob T FPL's graphics as well, and, the data that he had served up around, the spreads and the betting data and all of that. And it mentioned that Marmoush was like the top, I think he had the highest predicted points as well. And in terms of goal scorers, he was right. I think he was on the top there as well. And so it just made sense to captain him. And I switched my captaincy back and forth that night because it was really late on Friday night. And so I switched it from Mbumo to Marmoush, and then back to Mbumo, back to Marmoush after we were chatting a bit as well. And I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure I was content enough to leave it there, but I totally drifted off and woke up in the morning, and then I was like, oh, wait, who did I even captain? And I think I posted my team on Saturday morning as well, because I just wasn't interested to stay up late, but also to wake up that early, because I think the deadline was at 3:30 in the morning as well. So, but super disappointed.
Yeah, with us, it's obviously here. You have Friday, or you got all day on Friday until 6:30 for our deadline in the evening. So you have plenty of time to change it and tinker. But if you have to make a decision and go, also you don't get leaks and things like that, which sometimes you get here. I think there was a leak to say Marmoush was starting, which most people expected anyways. But I remember thinking, actually, if people aren't awake or active right now in the last 45 minutes, you wouldn't know if it'd been either way. If maybe Haaland was starting for some reason, you wouldn't have got that information. Which
I did I did notice that there was a few people that had tweeted their teams and said, like this is my team locked in or something like that, and then made a move to bring in KDB. They were holding Saka. Like we both have Saka in our teams right now, and we'll have a look at our teams. For this game week so far shortly, but we've both got Saka in our teams, and we can chat a little bit about like what we want to do with Saka in our team as well. But I did see quite a few FPL managers on Twitter. I say quite a few, a handful of FPL managers on Twitter who went Saka to KDB very last minute as well. And so obviously I'm seeing this the next day in the morning after I'm, just kind of scrolling through, doom scrolling in the morning kind of thing. And realizing that people have made this move because maybe there was a leak already before deadline, or obviously the lineups don't come out until after deadline anyway. So maybe there was a leak that KDB was going to start.
There was.
Yeah,
I think Man City seem to have a bit of a issue with that. They seem to have their lineups leaked a little bit earlier than the deadline. I think we've seen it a couple of times this season when they're the earlier kickoff that we get a bit of information a bit before, which isn't great really because some people see it, some don't. But
it's super frustrating because like obviously this time round the deadline for us was like 3:30 in the morning, so there's just no way that I was going to wake up that early to see if there was any leaks about any particular players. But to be fair, I wasn't really thinking too hard about bringing in KDB anyway, because obviously his minutes are a risk as well. So yeah, it's just one of those things that you either bring them in based on a leak or a gut call or whatever it may be, or you don't. And so yeah, in my case, look, I didn't end up sort of bringing him in, and there is a slight bit of regret there, like because I had been thinking about getting rid of Saka and bringing in, either Mbumo for Saka or KDB for Saka. And so I ended up making two moves. I took out Mateta and I took out Asensio, which, looking at the next sort of, match there, I'm glad, because obviously Asensio didn't really, he got some clean sheet points there, but it was only 1-0, to Villa as well against Fulham. So again, a match that I was expecting more goals.
Me too, actually. I mean, that game specifically, I had a bit of a tantrum because I had Sessegnon as one of my only big differentials this week. Because I didn't free hit in 34, I brought him in for that game where he did obviously get the 11 points. But this game, I thought, you know what, I didn't expect a clean sheet, but I thought Fulham might get some chances.
Yeah.
And by half time, Sessegnon's got a yellow card. He's lost his clean sheet points as well. He's on 0 points. And I thought, you know what, I was already in a bad mood from Friday night on Marmouche's blank. Sessegnon's on 0 points. I thought I actually left and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go gym. I'm going to leave the game and I'll come back. And then when I got back, I saw that he'd had a goal disallowed for handball as well. So I thought, you know what, it's just one of those game weeks this week. But yeah, I expected more goals in that one as well.
Yeah, same. But I'm grateful because obviously I didn't have any Villa players, at this point. And so that was one match that I was dreading. And that was on a bit of a better hour for us over here in Australia, in Sydney anyway. That was on at like 9:30 p.m. So I managed to watch, a bit of that match on Saturday night, which was quite nice. And I've got my mum over here in Australia with me at the moment as well. And so she's just been, if the match is on at a decent time, for her it feels like old times, like when I was living at home with my parents. And so I'd force them to watch whatever match was on and available, to watch online.
Okay, so she got to see a 1-0 Villa.
Exactly.
Not the most exciting game, but at least
no.
Nice.
But she knew that my brother-in-law supports Fulham, so she was fully aware. Also, because my sister and brother-in-law had a baby about a year ago, so my niece is, she's soon to be 1 year old, and she's already a Fulham supporter. I did try really hard to try and get a Liverpool, kit to them instead, and I said, why wouldn't she want to have a championship, winning team as a sort of second team to support?
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so she remembered that my brother-in-law supports Fulham, which was a hilarious chat. But anyway, so she was just like, "Oh, I guess they lost then." And I was like, "Yeah, they're not doing that well. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Yeah, bless her.
But I was surprised. I have to admit, Everton versus Ipswich, because I noticed as well, and we'll have a look at, actually maybe we jump to that a little bit while we're there. So the Elite 64. So Solio, which is a this is Sir Taup and people like Prass and Johnny C. There's a whole bunch of people that are involved in this with Solio. Just looking at data and I guess they're in a sort of beta sort of state at the moment. But they've been releasing a bit of data around the transfers that have been made, post game week, and so obviously we're looking at game week 35 as a bit of a review at the moment. But the reason why I wanted to kind of bring this up as well, from a conversation. So this is like the analytics. You've got the analytics Elite 64, and then you've got the Elite 64. Now I don't know how they're basing the eliteness out of from how that selection is done. If anyone knows in the chat, let me know. I just found this data really useful and interesting to have a look at, like what sort of transfers everyone's making. But I was quite surprised to see, like down here in transfers in, I was really surprised to see O'Brien in there. And I thought, yeah, I get it. Like, that makes sense. But if you look at, so from the Analytics Elite 64, 13 managers brought in O'Brien, and only 2 managers from the Elite 64 brought in O'Brien there. And Mikolenko's, a little bit further down here as well. So, I was a little bit surprised to see that, that managers were bringing in Everton defence, but it makes sense because they were playing Ipswich, right? So that was a bit of a surprise, draw for, to all. Did any Everton players even come in your mind to bring in?
Well, not for my team specifically. I think I can only imagine that it's because obviously they got that Ipswich game, and I think in game week 37 they play at home to Southampton. So I suppose if you needed a player for 2 weeks over the next 4, that might be someone that you think, he's been playing regularly for Everton. He's very tall. I think he's like 6'6" or something. He's very tall, so he might have a bit of a set piece threat. But yeah, I suppose this is the danger of backing teams lower down the league, isn't it? Even though it's Everton and they're good defensively. Where this is where I think analytics and maybe non-analytics can kind of clash a little bit, because I looked at that game and I thought it's not a bad game to target for, but you're playing Ipswich, who often score. It's not very common for Ipswich to not score, and they're not playing for anything but some sort of pride and things. So I didn't think it was going to be one where Everton were going to park the bus necessarily and it mean that much. So it's not one that I looked at. I did do like a wildcard team though, and I think in that I recommended putting in like a Pickford because he had Ipswich and Southampton, for example.
Yeah.
So I can see why people will be back in the Everton defence with the fixtures that they've got. But it's always a bit of a risk when you go against a team like Ipswich who just go attacking in every game anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a there's a bit of chat in the chatter in the chat at the moment going on around, like I guess making gains and what sort of picks that we make, and differential captaincy picks as well. We'll try and sort of cover bits of that as well as we as we go. But going back to the game week 35 so far. Look, Everton, Ipswich, 2-2, really happy for Ipswich, getting some points there. I always thought, the tractors won't go down without a fight, and, there we have it. Leicester to Southampton 0. This was such a funny highlights, and it's a fair bit of time spent on the highlights where Vardy, so Jamie Vardy obviously gets a goal.
Blowing the whistle.
And he's blowing the whistle. I was oh my gosh, Vardy, talk about memories.
Never changes, does he? He's great.
He's just such great value and so much entertainment. Absolutely brilliant. And I think I put that on my on the title, had to have Jamie Vardy on there. But I think the initial sort of thumbnail that I did, I actually had the image of like the whistle blowing.
Did you see the interview afterwards? I think I saw him talking to, is it Gary Lineker asked him about it. And
Yeah.
I think he said something like, "Oh, I saw Southampton breaking down the wing, so I had to blow the whistle to stop the game," or something. Yeah.
So
Only
good,
Jamie
so good.
Vardy. Yeah.
Only Jamie Vardy, yeah. And again, I'm kind of happy for Leicester. They scored
Mm,
goals after how many game weeks?
mm.
10 game
Yeah.
weeks or something like that. They've scored
Yeah.
some goals there. So anyway,
Yeah. And I
not
think Vardy's one of those, isn't he? Where like emotionally, if you wanted to go there, like I
yeah,
think I did talk about it last week because I thought he's playing
narratives.
against Southampton. Yeah,
Mm,
he needs 2 goals to get to 200. I wouldn't have been surprised if he scored a brace against Southampton.
yeah,
Southampton
yeah,
are playing like a championship side, respectfully, and so are Leicester, but both will be
yeah.
there next year. Vardy can definitely score against teams like that. And, I
Mm,
think they play Ipswich as well soon. And again, could be a game where Vardy gets to that 200 mark. And
mm.
sometimes narratives in football and stories play off more than data almost, or other things. It can mean something.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I definitely am one for sort of narratives and just I guess the full context of what's happening with that club and what's happening in general. Like so, obviously we had some breaking news today with
Mm,
Trent leaving as well, and we'll get to the 3-1 loss that the champions have had this game
yeah.
week. But yeah, like just the psychological sort of aspect and the full sort of, I guess, contextual view of what's happening with players and their club and, just general, what are they fighting for? And, I really do like to play into some of those narratives. I think they're quite useful and important. I mean, at the end of the day, these are all like elite players. Jamie Vardy he's been around the traps for a very long time. He's also a league winner. He has one of those medals, unlike
Yeah.
other players, and so he's like it's just interesting like to see that. The likes of Trent, like who's obviously announced that, he's leaving. I have to admit, I was secretly, or not so secretly, I was hoping that he would hang on, especially after his goal, and especially like just leading up to the final match, before being crowned champions, or not crowned yet, but just making it to being champions. It just felt like it would be the right time for Trent to sort of say, yeah, I'm not going to go. I've decided to stay another season and I will make sure that I get sold for like 80 million or something.
Yeah.
And instead he's going on free. And so, yeah, I am a little bit, I'm a little bit upset by it, just that he's
Yeah.
going the way he's going. But, like it's narratives, right? So now I'm thinking, oh, do I bring in Trent again? But I already brought him in on my free hit a couple of game week 34, so I probably won't bring him in my team. But there will be managers that will do that based on vibes, and he'll get game time, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely, last game at Anfield and all that, when that happens, is the kind of game that you can see Trent doing something in. I think it's sad for the Premier League, like to lose a player like Trent. Obviously, I don't have a sort of horse in this race. I just see it as I'd love to see Trent in the Premier League,
Yeah.
and as an FPL asset, he's always been so exciting. And he also adds a level of, because he's so expensive. When you're planning your team, there's a player like Trent that you go, do you go for him? Do you not? Do you save the
Yeah.
money and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Adds to another level. Like next year, who is going to be that Trent? There isn't going to be a 7 million, 7.5, 8 million player
Yeah.
that could get you the kind of points that you're showing there now, to
Yeah.
hit over 200 points as a defender. You're not going to have probably someone like that next year to kind of even think about. So even that kind of affects it. But
Yeah.
I think he's doing the right. I personally think he's doing the right thing. He's been there since being a kid. He loves the club and the city, and
Yeah.
he's made that clear. And he's going to arguably the biggest club of all time, and potentially he's gonna be playing alongside a lot of young players who all want to win Champions Leagues, and he might come back. You never know. Give it a few years, and he might come back. Later on in his career. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I support a team in Portugal that our whole philosophy is every time we have a decent player, we sell him, and I've kind of got used to the fact that players move to big
Yeah.
clubs. but Liverpool are a huge club, so it's not you're not usually in a position where you have to accept that a big club has come in for a player like Trent.
Yeah, totally. And, like you and I were chatting just before the stream as well, around, just Trent and, there's so many Liverpool supporters at the moment, like in the comments for many of the tweets that have gone out, like either Trent's tweet or Liverpool's tweet, that's gone out. And they're all sort of like, burning his shirt and stuff like that. And I'm like, seriously, like he's given so much to the club. And as a Liverpool supporter, I've been a Liverpool supporter for more than 30 years, right? And so I'm thinking he deserves a change. Yes, I was hoping that he would have, hung on a little bit longer, at least like to be sold. I think that's the only thing that I'm disappointed about.
Yeah,
like as a lifelong sort of Liverpool supporter, I'm super disappointed that he's not being sold and we're not making much money out of him. I think like the whole point about sort of, I mean, yes, born and bred academy, player and everything. I love that. I love that he's had such a success story and he's won everything, at the club. I just would have imagined that he would want to be sold and, so for his beloved club to also have made, his childhood club to have made a bit of money, off the back of the huge amount of investment that has been made in him as well, right? But you can argue that he's already returned on the investment already, like just looking at these points, right from, look at his like breakout seasons. So, the 185 points after, his first season, 17-18 was his first season, but 18-19, 185 points is huge.
Massive. It's huge. Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, he's absolutely amazing I don't think many players in the world that I can remember, not from right back, that can dictate a game like him. He can change a game. Not how many times in history have you had a right back that can win a game for a team? It's not a position you'd expect that from. So he's amazing, and I completely get it. Like if you were to sign him for another couple of years and then sell him, he's a player that's worth 80 million, 100 million. I don't know what kind of money you could put on him.
Yeah.
But I wonder what's happened in the club as well, because could they have got him a contract a year or two earlier, extended it for a few more years? Did they try and they rejected it? I don't know. Like at that point, I don't think the interest would have been there from Real Madrid because they would have had Carvajal and other players. So I don't know if the club, has a part to play in that. Could they have done something earlier? Did they? I think they've got a bit of a philosophy to not offer contracts too early on and to,
Yeah,
maybe...
I mean, so we're known to be tight asses when it comes to. I mean, look, we didn't have much of a transfer a window. Like there was hardly anything, right? Like there was, I think Endo came in, Chiesa came in, who's not getting any minutes whatsoever, and I think he's only one match away before he can, grab his winner's medal, as well. So I'm really hoping that he'll get some more minutes as well. But I think. It's funny because I imagined with Slot coming in, that would be the rebuild, season. So this season would be part of the rebuild, and he'll sort of, make a few changes. There'll be some transfers in between. January window also saw nothing. So I think he's obviously played his cards right because we've just won the league and that too a month early as well. But it's just been a challenge, I think, in general, from a money spending point of view. Like over the years, it's obviously been a bit of an issue. So I'm not sure. Like I think maybe the desire for Trent to move on was there from previous season. I think it didn't help that Klopp left as well. And I'm not saying that Klopp leaving would have enabled Trent to make that sort of move the following season or anything. But I think it was on the cards for quite some time. There was, the rumour mill of Bellingham, his BFF. They've been, obviously BFFs for a very long time. And so there was always the speculation that, Real Madrid were looking for a, right back. And so, and someone like Trent, who's had free reign in sort of roaming a little bit over the years as well in his position and playing out of position, as well. So I think he was always on the radar, and he was always destined to be, somewhere in Europe playing, probably, Real Madrid. I think that was always on the cards. Personally, as a Liverpool supporter, I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy. Like I say, I'm just disappointed that we're not getting any money for him. But I'm really happy for him. He has won it all. He's given a lot to the club as well, and he's a fantastic player. So yeah, good on him, and he should get what he deserves as well. So yeah, it's a shame. And I'm sad that we're not going to see him in FPL, just looking at all these points, right? Like, 210 points, 208 points in the, 1920 season. And look at the pricing as well. Like, who are we going to, who's going to be that 7 million plus player?
I don't think there is one, is there? Like, not really. I mean, I would sometimes justify Trent in my team by saying he's like an attacker, because you would pay 7 million, you'd pay 7.5 million for a midfielder that if he can guarantee you 210 points. So for a defender to do that, it was always a bit of a, that's how I justified it, getting him into the team. But no one's going to give you that headache next year, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. And so from a narrative point of view, I think we've got Gary, who's in the chat, who just said, I'm bringing him in for the parade and I'll be shotting it on the bank holiday. You're shooting tequila, because I'll definitely be shooting tequila.
I'm assuming that's what it is, yeah.
I'm not sure what time like some of these things are going to be on, but I'll definitely be I'll be boozed up.
Yeah, I'll say the last game of the season is just before the last May bank holiday in the UK. I think that might be what Gary's mentioned there. So I think after Liverpool's, so Liverpool play at home to Palace last game of the season.
Yeah.
Right. So that could be does he part with a goal or something?
Yeah,
probably,
true.
right?
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, like I can see it. Like the narrative is there. It's ready.
Yeah.
His parting gift. Well, I mean, he already sort of gave us a goal in game week 34, which was very good goal. So going back to what we know so far, and it'd be good to what we've learned over here. Just a few more games, I guess, like to have a quick chat about as well. So obviously the timings on here, ignore the 5 a.m. That will be for me over here in Australia. But Arsenal, let's have a quick chat about Arsenal, because I feel like they're bottling number 2 spot at the moment as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I had a bit of a feeling that Saka would maybe start. And the only reason for that was because he's come back from an injury, and I keep saying I do think there's an element where a player that's been out for a while, who's getting his minutes back, he needs that sort of match sharpness. So I always thought Saka would get those minutes, but I thought maybe 50 or 60. Yeah, I thought there would be more rotation overall for Arsenal.
Yeah.
So Arteta's clearly still in the back of his mind. He obviously wants that second spot.
Yeah.
And top 5 is not actually guaranteed. I think Arsenal won't do it, because I think they just need one more win. And they play Southampton at the end, so they'll do it.
Yeah.
But I think there is still an element where Arteta wants top 2. He wants to do well in the competitions, and he wants to play a strong squad to get that rhythm in.
Definitely.
Before they play PSG. So, however, if you're going to play a strong squad at home to try and win that game, to then go and lose that is not great.
No.
Because a lot of your big players have had to play a lot of minutes. You've lost that game anyways.
Yeah.
And now if he loses that game against PSG, let's say he loses to Liverpool, and then there's Newcastle, they're not easy games.
No.
You start getting to the point where you think, okay, maybe they're not going to get top 2. Maybe the season's not been very successful. And then the questions start getting asked again of Arteta.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, a massive disappointment. So, like before we jump to our teams, I've got double Arsenal defence. I'm not sure. Do you? Yeah. Okay.
Raya and Saliba, yeah.
Yeah, same. And so, super disappointed. I mean, I wasn't expecting a clean sheet. I don't know. Was I expecting a clean sheet? It's a home game. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I was expecting a clean sheet against Bournemouth.
I was hoping for one. Especially when they, was it like 60-something minute and it's still 1-0 up. I think maybe they'll go through to the end and see it through. But then they can see 2 set pieces, which is interesting. Arsenal being so good at scoring set pieces, but then just concede 2 set pieces is a little bit frustrating when you've got double Arsenal defence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure. Like, I think one of the things that's on my mind, is what to do with Saka. So I, instead of taking out Saka and bringing in Mbumo, I took out Asensio and Mateta, and managed to get in Brian Mbumo, and I brought in Wisso, which gave me the return this game week, but isn't necessarily salvaging my my red arrow this game week that I have at the moment anyway. But yeah, I'm now looking at Saka on my bench, and I'm thinking, when we chat about our bus teams as well, like I've got Saka on the bench who's playing Liverpool. Now obviously I wasn't planning on playing Saka. Obviously we've got the UCL matches on this week, and so we'll learn a bunch from that. But I'm starting to question whether it was even the right move, like to hold on to him, and whether I should ditch him, ahead of game week 36.
Yeah, I've had similar thoughts actually. I was holding on to Saka because of um the last two games of the season. At home to Newcastle, I think it's not an easy game, but could be a decent game. And then the last games against Southampton, and I didn't want to be too stubborn with it. And maybe I should have been thinking about, what other players could have gone Saka to
Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne. That even crossed my mind, but now it seems like that was a logical choice because now De Bruyne plays Southampton, and maybe those kind of decisions I should have thought about. But I'm so stuck on this idea to keep Saka for the last two games that I've just thought I'm going to leave him there for now. Um, Honestly, I think this Liverpool game is a tough one, like to call. You saw Liverpool played against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Obviously they've conceded three times there. Um, they're not a bad team, but they've won all of a sudden. Obviously, but they've won the league, and I think some rotations happening.
Yeah,
The players are going to
definitely.
have to take their foot off the gas a little bit. If
Yeah.
Saka plays, which I imagine, whether they beat PSG or not, I think Saka now plays as long as he's fit, probably 90 minutes to the end of the season, pretty much. Arsenal still need that top two, as we said. Still need top four, really, as we said. So I think Saka plays quite a lot. And I do think this is the kind of game where if Liverpool are quite open, if
Yeah.
Arsenal want to prove a bit of a point, you could see a Salah and Saka do all right. As much
Yeah.
as I think on paper it looks like a tough fixture, could there be some goals there? Maybe. So I don't know. Maybe I'm building a narrative now, but I quite like the idea of actually playing Saka this week, whilst
Yeah.
no one really has him.
Yeah, that's really fair. And yeah, when we look at our bus teams, it's definitely an option because I don't necessarily need to make a move. I feel like I want to make a move, but I don't need to. And it might be more beneficial to make a couple of transfers and just roll this week as well. I'm not sure, and I think like when we look at like the upcoming fixtures as well, like so another player, and I'll jot their name down here, and we'll come back to it whether that's an option or not, like as in to remove. But Isak is another player that I'm also thinking, does he go? But let's have a really quick chat about Brentford versus United, because that was a bit of a goals fest, and I'm slightly relieved that look, I was very regretful not captaining Mbumo because I obviously captained Marmoush, but I was very relieved that it was just an assist that he got, and I brought in Wissa as well. So just slightly disappointed that Sade was getting all the returns.
Yeah.
I think he banked a 15-pointer or something.
Yeah, funny enough, on my game week 29 free hit, I bought in Sharda for
Yeah.
one game just because I thought, he could do something. And I remember he took a throw in that took like a flick of someone's hair and he didn't get the assist. And
Yeah.
then in this game, Burmo's cross turned shot, turned assist, taken off him by Opta, but then given as FPL and all that stuff. But I've got to say, like, I'm the same as you. I was so relieved because when Marmoush blanks and then you're sat there hoping that some of the best FPL assets all blank this weekend, it's painful. And if you just show me that score 4-3, I would have thought, and Burma's got two and Wissa's got the other two.
That's it. Yeah.
So
And they assisted each other as well.
yeah, and they've both got 20 odd points. So actually, I'm feeling quite lucky in a lot of ways that it was just the one assist from Burma. But Wissa has been like the most underhyped, underrated player this year, I think. Because a lot of people talk about Wissa, but not many people have brought him in for long periods of time this year.
No.
But he's consistently just delivering.
He's just been delivering. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Bowen.
Yeah, same as Bowen. Yeah, but good players to have. Both very good players to have for the end of the season. Bowen, Wissa, players
Yeah.
like that are just going to keep playing 90 odd minutes and are doing well. They've got good fixtures too.
Yeah, yeah, and in the chat, I think we touched on some of the conversation there around basically making gains. It's really difficult. Like, how do you make gains when the teams are looking super templatey? Like in my case, it's been a real challenge to try and make some gains there. And I'm now thinking, should I just go and bring in Bowen, as well? And yeah, so I mean, just jumping onto the Brighton Newcastle fixture, I was expecting more goals again. It's
Yeah.
like the weekend has been a bit of a surprise, like so far, from a matches point of view. And and the reason why I put Isak there as a question mark, like he's not really been on great form. Like that was a
No.
pen, and which do you think should have been given?
I think it probably was just. I think Shaw's shot was going on target.
Yeah.
So I think by the rules, I think they have to give it as a handball because he blocks a
Mm,
shot
mm,
from going on target. But it wasn't like a stone wall, but I think it was a
yeah.
penalty.
Okay.
There was
Yeah.
two other before that though that were almost given, and I think Isak could have had a hat trick of penalties, although the other two were overturned, and I think rightly so.
Yeah.
Isak in the game, you're right, he didn't really do much. Like the last
Open
couple of
play.
games,
Yeah.
not a lot. Even Eddie Howe before the Brighton game said that Isak's not playing the best football of his career right now. So there is a little bit of worry there, but I mean, Isak's tough. It's a tough one. I am thinking about selling Isak as well. I am. But I do think there is that worry that Isak, because he's on penalties, because he's usually involved in games, he's someone that, he scores one penalty, gets three
He's
bonus
going to get
points
bonus
as
points.
well.
Yeah.
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 So it's a tough one. I love Isak, but I'm with you. If you're gonna try and make gains at this point of the season, you have to take some risks. There's only 3 weeks to go, so might as well
Yeah.
take some risks.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And like the final match there, like from Sunday's games anyway, or Saturday's games. I guess these are like Sunday for me. But the Saturday games. Oh no, maybe they were on Sunday. Were they on Sunday?
Yeah,
They were on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday,
Jeez.
2 o'clock here in the UK. Yeah, would have been
But
late Sunday for you
oh
though,
my
right?
gosh, yeah, it was
Yeah.
late. Yeah, it was late. That's right. But West Ham Spurs again, like I feel like Bowen, like we touched on Bowen there, like he's just ticking along, and he's getting like good, regular, consistent returns, similar to Wissa, and I love
Mm.
that. I love that he's getting those regular returns, and I don't know if that's something that we should be thinking about, like just bringing into the team. Like I've got players like Saar in the team, and I know like Palace are playing Forest like later on today or tomorrow morning for us over here. But yeah, it's a really tricky one because I feel like I've got players in my team at the moment that are not really getting me returns, and so they're getting me like the 2 points, 1 point, 0 points occasionally. But you've then got like Bowen, who's just going a little bit under the radar as well. I don't think I think around me, when I last looked, Bowen was only about 20% owned or something. So it's relatively low, or maybe it was a bit higher actually. Let me have a look at. I did sort of have the threats around me. Oh no, a lot higher. Sorry. So the threats around me were 38% Bowen. Yeah, and KDB, actually, maybe KDB is a little bit lower there. But yeah, I mean, Bowen's just been getting one return at a time, regularly. And so I'm now thinking, is Bowen like an option to bring in, for me? So, and, if we have a look at the fixtures, and I apologise, like this is the Lego Mane's fixture ticker. And obviously it's got the double game week fixtures in there as well. So if we just ignore those, because I couldn't find couldn't very quickly find a version that didn't have the double game weeks in there. But if we look at the fixture ticker and look at West Ham and what they've got. So West Ham over here, they've just played Tottenham, but they've got United next. They've got Forest at home, and then they've got Ipswich last. To wrap up the season. Those are still really good fixtures, especially with United. I mean, they've just let 4 goals in against Brentford, and I don't see why West Ham couldn't score. Like Bowen could easily get a brace against United, and so Yeah, I mean, Forest, I'm not sure. Like, we'll see how Forest play. They've not been defensively very good recently. I've just seen FPL Crisis in the chat, who's also got double, double Forest defense along with me. And yeah, I just feel like I'm really hoping that the next game week for Forest anyway, that they'll try and keep a clean sheet against Leicester, but then Vardy narrative, right?
Yeah.
So, but Bowen again is a really good, potentially a good player to bring in, that could get returns in the last 3 game weeks of the season.
Yeah, I think Bowen's just one of those players that when you see a bit like in Burma for Brentford and Wissa, if you see a goal go in, one of those involved, if West Ham score, which they don't score loads of, but when they do score,
Yeah.
Bowen's probably involved. Whether he's getting the assist or he's scoring himself, Bowen's probably involved. He's the only player that seems to sort of kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck and try and do something. That West Ham team are still struggling a little bit to play good football, but Bowen's a standout every game. So the next few games, yeah, I think down Man United they play Bilbao on Thursday, so they might have some rotation again on the
Yeah.
weekend. Maybe not as much as they did against Brentford, but they will rotate, I'm sure, a little bit. So yeah, I think it's a good fixture, and that last game against Ipswich is going to be a good fixture. I actually think Ipswich, the fact that Ipswich are playing at home in that
Yeah.
last game of the season, I think it helps because
Yeah.
last game of the season they've got nothing to play for bar pride. They've been in the Premier League. The fans are going to be up for it. I think Ipswich are just going to go for it and just have fun with it, and that could help Bowen, have some
Yeah.
more chances. If there's another, if Ipswich still has something to play for, they might go really defensive. I expect there maybe to be some goals in that game actually. So I love the fact that I've got Bowen. I'll hold him. I'll play him every week now, guaranteed to play 90 minutes pretty much every week.
Yeah.
He has set pieces. If Paqueta's not on the pitch, he has penalties, and he's always involved when West Ham do something. So I do think Bowen is up there, close to an Imbermo in terms of
Yeah.
how
A
important he
pick.
might be to end the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Just a massive shout out to everyone that's joined the stream. We're about an hour or so ish in, and still going strong in the conversation that we're having, deeply talking about fixtures and also game week 35 so far as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm joined by Pabs, who is a supporter of the channel. So thank you again, Pabs. And it's great to be chatting to you for the second time. And like I mentioned, you've had a phenomenal season so far, and you're still, on tracks to finish, top 1K overall. And yeah, thank you again for joining and the chat as well. And please do like the stream and subscribe if you're tuning in for the first time. These are super off the cuff, super rambly, ranty, sweary. I'm definitely on the wine tonight, and Pabs, it sounds like you've got some coffee going there.
Yeah.
So
Not quite wine time yet, but it might be later.
no, but this is the joys of tuning in at different sort of hours. And I've just noticed that FPL Have a Beer is in the chat as well. So Gary, who I had a very long chat with a couple of weeks ago, on his channel and show as well, and it's very much have a beer and have a chat about FPL, and we talked for about 3 hours, so it was crazy. But I mean, like for me it was the evening and I had plenty of time, but for Gary it was like during the day, so I definitely appreciated the long conversation. But it was a really good chat about FPL life and everything in between, which is very similar to this show as well. So it's nice to be chatting to you, Pabs. So just going back to the last few bits there of or last few matches of the game week so far before we make a score prediction for the Palace Forest match. So West Ham ended 1-1. Was expecting a bit more, I think, given how leaky Spurs were. And this is the thing about West Ham, I guess. Like, they'll probably score a goal, 2 goals here and there. It's probably not going to be more than that. I think FPL Crisis sent me a message to say that Bowen has only got, or is it West Ham have only scored more than 2 times twice? Something like
Not
that.
surprised, yeah.
Maybe if
That sounds like West Ham.
Yeah, if Ash is still in the chat, maybe he can let me know exactly what that sort of stat was. So that's the only downside with going Bowen, that the likelihood of him scoring more than one goal is a little bit slim. But watch how he'll get a brace against United now. Let's see.
Yeah.
So the match that I woke up to this morning,
Yeah.
3-1. Well, it's really funny because the first tweet that I saw, because I saw the score and I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh, we won the league, whatever, kind of thing. Was my first reaction. But I think the first tweet that I saw was a Chelsea dressing room tweet, which was hilarious because they were celebrating
Dancing,
like
celebrating,
nuts, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, wait, what did I miss? Like, what else happened? What's going on? Has there been some other announcement, or have Chelsea gone and bought another player, or have they spent 100 mil on someone else, or what's going on? Why are they celebrating so hard? Because they've just won. Yes, they've won 3-0, 3-1. They played well, great. We didn't play our strongest side. Liverpool didn't play their strongest side. So I was like, for a good, minute or so, I was like scrolling through trying to look for what is going on here.
Yeah. I can only assume it's because of they're trying to get into that top four, top five.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it did feel a bit over the top because there's not really done anything out of this world. And I think most people expected Liverpool to be off their best with a rotated side.
Yeah.
They've been celebrating all week. I
Yeah.
think if you go back and look at teams after they've won the league, how often do they win the next game? It's probably very, very slim. That small percentages of teams win the league and then a few days later go and win their next game when they've got nothing to play for.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a little bit over the top.
Well, yeah. Look, each their own, and they have got, obviously they're fighting for Europe, and there's a lot happening there, in the sort of I guess like for Arsenal, was it Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Forest are still sort of looming in that kind of top four range as well, Newcastle. So yeah, there is a lot that everyone's fighting for. But yeah, it was just really funny looking at that. But I looked at the lineup because obviously that match was on at about 1:30 in the morning, and again I was like, well, we've won the league, and usually I'll stay up, but it was on a school night for me. I'm working. I was working today. It's not a bank holiday over here in Australia, and so there was no way I was going to be watching that match. So I looked at the scoreline, looked at the team lineup, and I was like, what? Who are we playing? Like, what's this lineup that I'm looking at? But I think we can expect rotation, right? Like for the last couple of game weeks that we've got, and I think Crisis. So Ash, FPL Crisis, who's in the chat, just said, speaking of narratives, what do you think of Salah final day, triple captain, going for the goals record against a leggy Palace team?
I think it's not a bad shout, to be honest. Palace play midweek against Man City in the FA Cup final, right? So I think a few days later, and there'll be party atmosphere at Liverpool at Anfield. Salah I think he's going to be more greedy now than ever, and the team I think are going to actually play to try and help him get those records. They've got nothing to play for, but Salah's got those personal accolades. He's very driven anyways. He's not someone that's going to take his foot off the gas, I don't think. So
yeah,
I do expect Salah to have a strong end to the season. I would quite like that. If I still have my triple captain, that's probably where I'd wait for.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Southampton against City this week, but you don't just Harden play. So I think don't think there's a better chance of someone exciting. I think most people are going to probably captain a Salah or someone like that as well. So if you've got your triple captain to end the season, then what a way to end the season as well if he does go and break the records on the last day.
Yeah. I can see many managers putting, if they still have their triple captaincy. Like I had to go to my my family league, mini league, and just mention, use your chips, guys, use your chips.
Yeah, I've got
just remind everyone.
I've got a friend who was like the assistant manager. He was asking me about it, and he's like, I just can't be bothered. Too much to think about. I'm not going to play it, and he's still got it, and he's not going to play it. So
yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. Like there's managers in. I mean, like the. I say this very lightly, but there's a lot of casual managers out there who've not played the assistant manager chip, and I've had more conversations about, I played my assistant manager chip and I wanted to play my free hit, and I didn't know that I could not play my free hit and play my assistant manager chip, and I'm like, yeah, that sucks, and I'm so sorry that you can't deactivate that and and just scrap the previous week's points. I think that would be a note for, Premier League FPL towers or something, that, let people cancel their assistant manager midway through their 3 game weeks if they're choosing to keep this chip. And yeah, you just lose the points from the previous game week if you just cancel it. But if you want to play your chip because a double game week is announced, or I don't know, something happens, then you should be able to just cancel that chip, because it's over 3 consecutive game weeks.
It's a tough one. It is. I just think they need to rethink the assistant manager as a whole. I mean, it worked out for me when I played it, so like in some ways it's helped me a lot. But I don't think I remember. Well, I didn't enjoy it. I don't remember thinking like, oh, I really want. I remember I played it on Moyes and then Glasner.
Yeah.
And I think I remember watching those games more like, oh, I hope they don't concede, or and there wasn't like it felt more like gambling or betting than it did
Yeah.
FPL, because you're not picking on certain players. You're almost just trying to guess the results of the weekend, like who's going to win those games. So it felt a little bit different to what I'm used to. Maybe I'm not very good with change, but I'm not sure I like it too much.
No, and I was in the UK when I played my assistant manager chip, and I think I played it on the doubles that Liverpool had, and played it on slot because I didn't have triple Liverpool. And look, I got plenty of gains. I've not really sort of thought too hard about whether that was the best time to play it or not. I didn't really do much research on it either. So yeah, I just feel like I kind of wasted the chip a little bit. I mean, it wasn't totally wasted because I played it on slot, and he got like lots of points during those 3 game weeks. But yeah, maybe I did waste it. Maybe I didn't, I just couldn't. I chose sort of life and everything that was happening around me at the time, and there was just no way that I could get across, what is this chip and how do I play it. And I remember sort of reaching out to you and a couple of others and sort of went, oh, what do I do with this chip? Like, just play it. Yeah, just play it, whatever. I
think that's part of the issue, isn't it? I think the issue is like you don't want a more complicated game.
No,
like we spend a lot of time thinking about it anyways, but it's like over planning, over preparing. When am I going to play it? How many transfers am I going to use on it? Have I got the money for it? And casual players are just never going to want to spend that time.
No.
And I get it. Like, I speak to friends who we've got mini leagues together and stuff, and they ask me about it, and they're like, I can't even be bothered, and they're the people that like halfway through the season they probably don't want to be playing anymore anyways. So let alone then trying to plan for an assistant manager. And how long you're going to have it for, and who you're going to change it to, and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's overcomplicated, a game that probably needs simplifying to get more people playing it.
Yeah, and I feel like that chip was probably, I don't know, like I've not been playing FPL that long. It's my 4th season, and so, I don't know, like do FPL generally introduce chips because they want better engagement from casual managers, because this was not that chip for it, to get more engagement.
I don't know. I honestly, not usually. I think usually they're trying to make the game more exciting, and I think it's to try and get more people playing generally, right? To try and make the game more exciting. So I don't think this did that, to be honest.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I wasn't feeling it. And, just looking at my mini leagues and how many managers have still got their chips. And I love this about live FPL, you get to see your mini league through there, and you can see how many, free transfers certain managers have. Like, there's quite a few managers that have 5 free transfers, and I'm like, oh my God, they're not playing. And then there's the semi-engaged managers who have got, there's 3 game weeks to go. They've got their assistant manager, they've got their triple captaincy still, and they've got, I don't know, their free hit still. And I'm like, okay, well, they're not playing at least one of those chips, or sort of 2 of them if they're playing their assistant manager. And this is why I'm like, oh my God, let people cancel their assistant manager chip if they've played it and they decide to play a free hit instead. It's a pain.
It is a tough one, because I suppose people would exploit that, maybe, wouldn't they? If they play it and they got a bad score, they'll just cancel it and play it another week, maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, you cancel it and then you just don't get it back, right? Like, that's it. Okay. It's gone. Right. So you've already played it and then it's gone. And you lose your points as well. So if you're cancelling it on the 3rd week, you lose your points from the previous 2 weeks for the assistant manager points that you've made. But at least that option is there, because imagine, right, you're in game week, like right now, look, it's probably not going to happen, but a double game week gets announced. You want to play your free hit, or you want to play your triple captaincy or something, and you've got your assistant manager active right now.
Yeah, I had someone in one of my mini leagues. We came up against each other in the cup, and I looked at his team in game week 34, and he had 5 players missing, and the assistant manager was playing.
Yeah.
So, like that week, I was like, well, unfortunately for him, he can't do anything. He's got like 2 transfers to make. He's not getting the whole team out.
Yeah.
So I think there are people out there that definitely probably didn't understand it fully. So yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, last match of the game week, so we've got that to look forward to. Scores prediction for that one?
I don't think it's going to be a super exciting game. No. I'm going to go 2-0 Palace, sadly.
Oof, yeah. I reckon so. I think Palace will nick it, and I'm really dreading Mateta getting returns, because I ditched Mateta, but I really hope Sarr gets something, because he's just hasn't really been in on the form in the form that he's supposed to be in. So Eze's getting the returns at the moment.
Yeah, seems like Sarr saved everything for the FA Cup. He had a good game there, and beyond either side of that, he's done nothing in the league really. I had Sarr, Mateta, and Munoz, but I did sell all 3, so I've got nothing in tonight's game at all. So I'm quite worried about.
Yeah. Well, look, let's have actually, I went to the fixture ticker there, but let's have a quick chat about how your game week has gone so far. So, I love that we're getting to this point, because like you and I are probably both avoiding the conversation about, how our game weeks are going.
Maybe we should just skip this bit.
Should we skip it entirely?
Don't need this bit.
But Pabs, just read out your team and your points, that you've got so far for game week 35.
Yeah, so I've got 42 points. Raya and Saliba double up on the Arsenal defence, did not go very well. I bought in Gavardio this week, so you might think, okay, 8 points is decent, but I sold Virgil van Dijk to bring in Gavardio. So when Virgil scored the header, I thought I could have sold anyone else. I could have sold Saliba or someone and got more out of that. But anyways, so there's that. I got Sessegnon, my biggest differential, got me a total of 0 points. So that went well. And then Salah, Mbeumo, Bowen and Murphy. Salah 2 points and Mbeumo 5. Although Mbeumo actually went against me because I didn't have him as my captain. Murphy 1 point, didn't make it to 60 minutes again. He comes off early. And then Bowen, my saviour of the game week again, the only player that I can rely on at the moment to seem to actually help my rank. And then my front 3, I got Cunha 2 points. Marmoush is my captain, 4 points, and Isak with 9. Again, Isak points actually hurt me this week. So, a tough week. I knew captaincy was going to be very important this week. I've got to say, I think in hindsight now, I'm actually kind of happy with how it's finished, weirdly. Because Friday, when Marmoush blanked, I honestly thought Salah and Burma and Isak, I thought they could all do very, very well. And Isak got the 9 points, but on another day, he could have got a few more penalties. And Burma, 4 goals for Brentford, he could have been involved in a lot more. And Salah, even at near the end, Salah put a cross in for Nunes, who I don't know, heads it back to Salah. I don't know what happened,
but he did something like that the previous game week as well, where I was like, "What are you doing? Just take the shot."
Yeah.
No, sorry, it wasn't Nunez. It was it was Gakpo who did that, and I was like, "Just take the shot."
Yeah, Nunez's header when he comes back, he goes back to like the corner flag and a free header basically. So there's a few things there that I think actually could have been a lot worse, because when I was watching Man City with Marmoush, there was no point where I thought he's going to do something. He was like playing right wing. I'm not exactly sure what happened, if that was like a one-off game or what the plan is, but he was just not getting involved. So when I was watching the other games, I actually feel like I got quite lucky that the other captains didn't do better. So it could have been an even worse game week. But I have dropped out of the top 1K, so I need to start thinking how I try and bring things around, because that's 2 quite big red arrows back to back now.
Yeah, and look, you weren't wrong about thinking that there will be goals in that match. The first match of the game week for City. So the other I think it was ahead of game week 35. 34, sorry, I was chatting to Brian from the FPL USA Press Play podcast, and
Mhm.
he's having an incredible season as well. Also top 1K, and I think he captained KDB this game week. And obviously KDB got 11 points,
Yeah,
so yeah,
good
he got
decision.
his like double. Yeah, really good decision there. But he was also thinking, like when I was chatting to him, he was also thinking there's going to be goals there. But do you feel like KDB playing is impacting, Marmoush's output?
It's a really tough one because I was struggling to see who was actually playing through the middle for Man
Mm,
City. De Bruyne did show up in those areas quite a bit, and Marmoush was then going dragging out right. So
mm,
maybe it is affecting it a little bit. But I would have thought De Bruyne playing more would have been good for the attackers because he's so creative
yeah.
and he can create chance out of nothing really. And
Mm,
he's playing pretty well now. I expected De Bruyne to play quite a few minutes now towards the end of
yeah.
the season, and he's playing very well. So I would have thought it would have helped the likes of
Yeah.
Marmoush, but yeah, again, I just couldn't believe how little Marmoush did that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's honestly it was super disappointing. And like even I was thinking, like, I've got Murphy in my team as well, and I was thinking, how did Saka get 2 points? How did Murphy just
Yeah,
get one, right? Um,
I was debating all week whether to play one or the other. There would have been a one
yeah.
point difference in it, but yeah, Murphy to not even get to the 60th minute. But then, do you know what I love about Murphy? Like he keeps getting subbed off early, and he runs off with, like a big grin on his face. He's like just so happy to be there,
Yeah,
and I
yeah, I
think, oh
know,
Murphy,
bless
show a
him.
bit of fight, just like show that you want to stay on the
Compete.
pitch. Yeah,
Compete
he's
for
just like
your
grinning.
spot.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a bit worried about Murphy actually, if I'm being honest, because
Yeah.
Gordon's there and he's starting to get more minutes, and Barnes is in probably seems to be higher up the pecking order from Murphy
Yeah,
now
he
because
is
Murphy's the one
now.
being subbed off. So
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried for him.
Yeah, for sure. Any sort of players that you're thinking at the moment? Like we've got sort of like a conversation around our bus team shortly, but any sort of stand out as I need to probably get rid of them, and it's a non-negotiable, or is there players that you're like, no, I'm gonna still, I'm gonna hold on to them at the moment, and yeah, what's your like I guess your knee-jerk reaction
Mhm.
to how it's gone so far?
My back line, I think I could get rid of all of them bar Gvardiol, to be honest. I don't. My defense is not that I can really prioritize my back line, but yeah, basically that's how I feel right now. Honestly, bar Gvardiol, I'm not sure. Sessignon, like he's got one more game where I think he could do all right, but I'm a bit worried about him as well now.
Yeah,
Arsenal backline, I don't expect anything from either of those next game, maybe even the next two.
yeah,
I think Newcastle got tough fixtures, and I'm not even sure how much Konate plays. So my backline is in a bad way.
yeah,
My midfield, I'm happy to have Salah and Burma going. Like they're gonna go obviously nowhere. Like they're gonna play every minute pretty much,
yeah,
and they're fit. Um, Saka might be a tough one coming up, but I'm okay with Saka beyond this week, beyond
yeah,
Liverpool. So for me, Newcastle assets are definitely my
yeah,
biggest doubt.
yeah,
Murphy, I don't know about minutes. I don't expect many clean sheets for Livermento. And Isak, I want to bring in a different forward. I want to bring
yeah,
in Wissa or a Wood or someone like this. And I don't think it's a good week to get rid of Marmouche when he plays Southampton, despite,
yeah,
Haaland maybe being back and
yeah,
all that. I just think it's a crazy decision to get rid of him
yeah,
before Southampton. Kunya has got a good game too and decent fixtures, and Isak has got the worst fixtures of the lot, arguably playing quite badly. So
yeah, yeah. Just not consistent at the moment. I mean, obviously, depends. Like it's great, and I think this is the problem with like going against like Mbumo as well. Like from a captaincy point of view, and there was such an open match between Brentford and United, but
mhm.
yeah, that could have been easily another 18 pointer or something from Mbumo, and Isak could have
Yeah,
been easily another 18 pointer or something like that as well.
yeah, and that's the thing. And Isak, I mean, he's got Newcastle have got a lot to play for still. They still need to get in that Champions League spots and guarantee that. And it's a huge game coming up against Chelsea. If there's someone they need to rely on, it's Isak needs to be up to it. So
Yeah.
it's a big risk, but I am thinking about Isak maybe being sold this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of, thinking similarly as well, at the moment. Are you going to do anything about double Arsenal defense?
I don't think I can. I've got one free transfer, and at this stage, I think I always find it hard to take a -4 for a defender because
Yeah,
if they keep a clean sheet, they pay back your
yeah,
transfer, but they're not likely going to give you points on top of that, if that makes sense. So if I was
sure.
to say sell Saliba for a Forest defender,
Yeah,
I've got to hope that Liverpool score and Forest keep a clean sheet just to break even. So I don't really like that usually. I think after Liverpool, I don't mind. At home to Newcastle, tough game, but then they play Southampton
yeah,
last game of the season. Great game to have both playing then. So I just don't think they're a priority sell. But my back line is in shambles right now. I'm not
yeah.
happy with them at all. So in an ideal world, I would sell them, but I've got one transfer.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and
Yeah.
this is the thing. Like, there's only a small number of transfers left between now and the end of the season, in terms of free transfers, anyway. And I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to taking hits. Actually, speaking of hits, how many hits have you taken this season so far?
I don't think many. Maybe two,
Yeah. Okay.
not many.
Yeah, I think I might be on three at the moment, or three or four
Mm.
hits, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
less. Yeah, maybe three. Yeah, I've sort of gone the opposite to my first season in this season anyway. Like, I've definitely taken fewer hits this season, but I'm not opposed to taking a couple of hits here and there if needed, if from a calculated risk side of it. But I
Yeah.
mean, look, I mean, you finished the game week, on 42 points, and I'm seeing scores like 70 something points at the
Yeah.
moment, like with KDBs in there, and captaincy on either KDB or Isak, or just having a couple of those players that have given us returns, or given the game returns this game week. And yeah, it's definitely not some of the players that I have, and check us out, like, we're sort of neighbours at the moment. I've
Yeah.
got two players to go, but I'm on 38 points at the moment, and I've got Raya in goal there, and I've got Guardiola got me the 8 points, Saliba 1 point, Munoz. Look, I'm really hoping that we can keep a clean, like, if Palace can keep a, I say we because I've had a thing about Palace growing up near Selhurst Park as well.
Oh, nice.
But Palace weren't doing very well when I was growing up, and so just went for a big four club. So I say we, with a lot of love towards Palace.
Yeah.
But Munoz, if Palace can keep a clean sheet, that would be very, very helpful. But I feel like everyone owns him at the moment.
Yeah, telling
So
me. I think he's like 68% owned around me or something like that. So
yeah, it's
I can
super
see
high.
Minos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can do well this week, and that will really hurt as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Murphy again, just that 1 pointer. I think he came off at like 57 minutes. So annoyed, seeing that,
Mm.
because he was a huge differential for me. Like, so the Marmoush captaincy was a differential, Murphy is a differential, and I think Saar is the last differential that I've got in my team, to give me some gains there. Salah 2 points, not expecting too much, but maybe like some records being broken towards the next game week maybe, and the last game week of the season as well. So yeah, definitely holding on to Salah, and probably be the only Liverpool player that I have. Mbumo could have got, like you say, could have got so much more. Isak 9 points, but I think my saviour so far this game week, despite sort of being about, I don't know, 8 points from my safety score, was Wissa with the 7 points, but I was expecting more, from him.
Hmm.
And like I say earlier, Sade got got all the returns. He
Yeah.
bagged the 15 pointer there. And Marmoush, who I captained as well, for with 4 points. Look, I don't regret the captaincy whatsoever. It was just a gut call in the end, to go there, just because he was predicted with the high sort of expected points. And I think this is where There's, part narrative, part data, part eye test, and it's not like Marmoush has been playing that well as well. But then, Mbumo, whilst he got like returns a couple of game weeks ago, he's been sort of consistently giving the returns as well. And I think we overlook that sometimes, that he's the second most highest player, like scoring player. Is that right? Like he's
I
just
think that is
up
right.
there. Yeah.
It is true, but it's true you say that because when I was thinking about this week coming up as well, Brentford played, was it Forest? Yeah, I was just checking. Yeah, it was Forest that they just played before, where they won 2-0, and then Burma did nothing and he got a yellow card.
Yeah.
And that was before lots of people were going to him, people were going to him for this man. So if he had returned in the week before, it would have helped quite a bit. In 34, that's right. When people were free hitting, some people had him, some went against him, and I thought, oh, he could do something here because I brought him in for that week, and he
Yeah.
blanked, gets a yellow card. And that game, he wasn't brilliant actually. He didn't get that involved, but he does get returns even when he doesn't have an outstanding game.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of, and I think it's him, players like Bowen that we've talked about already. Like they get involved in
Yeah.
games where if Brentford score and Burma's going to probably be involved, and West is the
Yeah.
same right now.
Yeah.
Those two constantly linking up. So I'm quite jealous that you've got those two to end the season because their fixtures are good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm chuffed that I made those moves, but obviously Mateta. So I took out Mateta to bring in Wissa, and like you, I'm also eyeing up, getting rid of Isak. So Watkins is on my mind, as is Wood as well. So these are the two players that I'm currently thinking about bringing in there potentially. It just depends how Wood goes against Palace, and I don't know. I just think that he's been again another player that's been consistently sort of getting a goal here and there as well. And but is it a risk taking Isak out? I just don't feel like I'm getting any gains here as well. And it's the same with Marmoush. Like, you don't get rid of your City players ahead of Southampton, right? So. Yeah, I think Marmoush is just going to have to stay. Obviously, this is going to stay till the end of the season. But Isak is a spot that I'm thinking, do I go elsewhere? Like even when we look at the fixtures, a bit more like actually let's just have a quick look there. Even thinking about Bournemouth, right? So Bournemouth, they've got Leicester right at the end of the season. Game week 38, and so I'm thinking, do you bring in Even Ilson, who's again got a goal against Arsenal, is just consistently returning? Is that an
And it's got
option?
Villa next as well. Yeah, Villa
Yeah,
next is not a bad fixture because Villa away from home don't keep many clean sheets. I know they've just got to get the clean sheet at home, but away from
yeah,
home, Villa are a
exactly.
little bit worse. So it's not
Yeah,
a bad time to maybe if you wanted to take someone on. That's
yeah.
very differential probably right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, just looking back at my game week, I think aside from that, look, I'm kind of happy that I've got. I say that very lightly at the moment. I'm kind of happy that I've got double Forest defence, ahead of Leicester at home, and hopefully Vardy won't score goals. I'm trying not to put that out into the universe, but yeah, that I'm a little bit happy about. But I think double Arsenal defence, so. That does not give me a lot of confidence at the moment. I think that's where I'm sort of thinking I'm probably not going to play double Arsenal. I mean, I'm playing, Sells ahead of Raya anyway, and I'll probably play Morello as well. So maybe that's not an issue for this game week anyway, like upcoming game week anyway. But aside from that, I'm looking at Jacob Murphy and I'm thinking, minutes, and what's going on. He might lose his spot there. You're right, Gordon. He's right there, ready to go as well. And then Sarr as well, who's just not really returning. And so then, we had a fair bit of conversation around Bowen, and so there's Bowen as a potential sort of player to bring in my case anyway. But then all of a sudden my team looks super templatey as well. So to touch on the conversation as I sort of jump off of my team and have a look at the fixtures, where do you make the gains? Like, where do you go for the gains? At the moment, it's really difficult, right? So in my case, I'm thinking, do I go for Bowen, right? Let me just kind of make these yellow so these just stand out a little bit more. But, I'm thinking, do I go for a Bowen over here, who's got United, they've got Forest and Ipswich, but soon Bowen is going to be, I mean, Bowen's already almost 40% around me owned, owned, effective ownership. And so do I go there? Like, am I going to make any gains? Don't know.
It is. We're in a very tough point of the season because we get to the stage, and I think you look at the fixtures coming up, and there's only a select amount of teams that you really want to pick players up from. But if you do that, like you say, you're just accepting that you're going to finish roughly where you are now. But then if you go too crazy with it, you're going to potentially lose massive rank as well. So it depends what you're playing for at this stage, I think.
Yeah.
Like I think about, I mean, I say that if I wanted to play it safe, I would keep Isaac because I know he can't hurt me too much and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But that's where I think, do you know what? I got a feeling that he's going to keep struggling. He's got tough fixtures.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to go against that. It's a gamble, but if you get rid of it, Isaac, and you go for like an Evan Nielsen,
Yeah.
and if Isaac blanks the next couple of weeks and Evan Nielsen doesn't, that's a massive potential swing there.
Yeah.
But it is tough. It is tough because if you go, like, for example, if you were to go, like, I'm going to get rid of Salah or something like that, if Salah keeps returning, it doesn't matter if you bring in other good players because you've
Yeah.
probably sold the best player in the game. So, yeah, it's taking calculated risks still at this stage. I don't think you can go too crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like in Newcastle's case, right? Like they've got Chelsea, they've got Arsenal, and so I'm thinking, yeah, maybe getting rid of Isak and just going against him. Now that will either pop me back into top 5k where I was, for quite some time, and then just kind of fucked it up basically with some of the transfers, or just the players that I brought in just not returning. And, whilst the team looks really good on paper, it's not really worked out that way, right? And so, I had, for those that are tuning in for the first time, thank you, for tuning in for the first time. Please do like and subscribe. And, thanks for joining this super sort of rambly conversation that I'm having with the awesome FPL Impulse. And please do check out Pabs' channel as well. Like he does some really, really cool differential content as well, and very conversational, and plays very much from an eye test and grass FC perspective as well. So but yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this conversation. But just thinking about like the players that we're bringing in, or considering, like, if you look at those fixtures and going against Isak there, that will probably Arsenal have been leaky as well, as we've just seen. And if they sort of continue on and make it to Champions League final, we're going to see a rotated, Arsenal side as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, like how that match goes, game week 37. But I'd be tempted to go against Isak. I'm still sort of there, similar to you. I'm thinking, do I go a Chris Wood or do I go a Watkins? And if you look at Villa, like, whilst look, the doubles are not there, so let's just ignore the doubles that are sitting there. But they've got Bournemouth, and look, it's an away game, but they've got Tottenham and United after that as well. So it could be really good for Watkins. But again, the form is not there. So when I'm thinking about, like, now I'm thinking I've only got a few moves and there are only a few free transfers. I really want to bring in the informed players, and no one stands out. And Cunha, I was chatting to FPL Crisis earlier, and he was like, oh, what about sort of Cunha, and, maybe even putting captaincy band on Cunha as well. I don't mind it. I mean, if you just look at Wolves' fixtures, they've got Brighton coming up in 36. They've got then, I guess that they will have a fixture in 37, and that's the Palace. Yeah, that's the Palace fixture, and then they've got Brentford as well. So could easily get some goals there.
Yeah. I've got. I mean, obviously, I have Cunha, so I probably would be. I don't want to sell him for that reason. The two home games are against two teams that don't keep loads of clean sheets. Although Brentford away, Brentford, yeah, so Wolves playing at home to Brentford, it's not a perfect game, or away to Palace, not a perfect game. But Palace will have an eye on the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Brentford don't often keep loads of clean sheets, and I don't see a clean sheet against Brighton. Oh, Brighton have a clean sheet against Wolves, should I say. So
Yeah.
I think Cunha could have a good end to the season. So
Mm.
I like having him. If I was on a wild card, I'm not sure I'd include him. But
Yeah.
I like having him, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's tough to kind of say, go get Cunha.
Yeah.
I at this point, I would put probably Chris Wood and Wissa above him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think at this stage, you probably still want to have a Marmoush, as annoying as it is.
I know, yeah, and yeah, that's a tricky one, and there's a couple of good like questions coming through in the chat as well. So, so let's have a look at this one. So Frostbolter is saying, or asking which teams have something to play for, also which teams do not, have something to play for, so to target against, basically. I think from a table point of view, I think we've got sort of, obviously Arsenal will probably get their second, third sort of spot, hopefully. Or I say hopefully, but,
I think they need one win, I believe. I think that's what
yeah, I
needs to
think it's
get to
one.
guarantee Champions League. To
Yeah.
guarantee Champions League, but that's not guaranteeing second place necessarily. But I think
Yeah, yeah. And I think, it might be worth, I'll see if I can dig out a quick image of the Premier League table while we're, chatting around that a little bit.
I mean, I think one tactic I think that I've gone for a lot of this season, a lot of probably have, is just look who's playing against Leicester or Southampton,
Yes.
respectfully. But those two teams, Southampton concede a lot of goals, and Leicester struggle to score goals quite
Yeah,
typically. So if you're looking for a defender, who's playing Leicester next?
yeah,
Forest are playing Leicester, and they're a good defense. If you need a defender, that's an easy team to go for because Forest still need to win games to get into that top four, top five conversation to get Champions League.
yeah,
So that's one. And from an attacking point of view, this is why I'm struggling with Marmoush. If Marmoush was playing Southampton this week and Chris Wood was playing Leicester next week,
yeah,
I maybe would, sorry, the other way around. If Chris Wood was playing and Marmoush was playing Southampton the following week, maybe I'd sell Marmoush.
yeah,
But it's just Southampton. I just can't. Man City is still one of the better attacks on their
yeah,
day, and
yeah,
they're playing such a good team, and they still need to get top four, top five,
yeah.
as do Newcastle there and Chelsea. None of them have guaranteed it yet, and it'll
No,
depend a lot on tonight as well. If Forest
yeah,
win, you've got Villa, Forest, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City all still
yeah.
needing wins to get Champions League football.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you look at the points totals there, this is why like going Chris Wood and I think you and I were chatting very briefly about Elanga as well, who or even Morgan Gibbs White as well. So yeah, I just don't know, like from a rotation minutes and just kind of secure, security side of it. I think Wood is probably the best player to go for, from a Forest perspective. But let's see, like we've got the match to look forward to. It's an away match, but from a fixtures perspective, I think there's some, good fixtures there anyway. So obviously they've got Leicester. And West Ham and then Chelsea. So yeah, I mean you can even jump off of Chris Wood against Chelsea if you really wanted and go to even Ilson or something like that. I don't mind that. Like just jump from Wood to even Ilson in game week 30. They've got Leicester in the final game week of the season. I think that's a really good, potentially a strategy. It's an extra move to make, but there's like gains and there's an opportunity for some gains there. But like, who are you targeting at the moment? Like in terms of like teams, obviously against we've sort of, you touched on the bottom half of the table, teams but which teams are you targeting from I don't have players in that team and they could definitely get me some returns there because they've got something to fight for. So we touched on Forest, but would you go there for Chelsea? Like Palmer. I think someone mentioned in the chat. I'll see if I can bring that comment up. So Andrew Sands mentioned upside to a Palmer move is Chelsea's Champions League motivation, and their Euro final isn't until 28th of May.
I mean, Palmer's game against Liverpool, he did play very well. You got man of the match in that game, and he did have a good game. He looked a little bit more like the Palmer we maybe expect. The
Yeah.
thing with Chelsea is, and I've owned Chelsea assets quite a bit this season, especially Palmer and Jackson. And Jackson was one of the worst decisions I made this season. It's the consistency there of what you can actually expect from Chelsea. They've over the last few weeks, if you watch Chelsea, they've been a lot more pragmatic and trying to keep it tight. So I back Chelsea more defensively than scoring loads of goals. But Palmer is, if we talk about Mbeumo and Bowen being, returners for a team that if you see Chelsea score, you expect Palmer's name to pop up,
Yeah.
and he can go and deliver double-digit hauls against literally any team.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is he's a lot of money. Transfers are very precious right now. Unless you have Palmer and you're holding on to him, moving to Palmer doesn't seem like the best decision. Chelsea's fixtures are not easy.
Yeah.
I know they play Man United in there at home, and that's maybe one where I'd like to own Palmer. But away to Newcastle and away to Forest, both teams that they are competing against for Champions League spots, I can see that being really tight, cagey games.
Yeah.
And Palmer's a difference maker, but I just don't see loads of returns
Yeah.
for those teams. So I like Forest. Villa's a good shout because Villa still want to challenge for those competitions and their fixtures are not bad. Bournemouth have a great end to the season against Leicester. They
Yeah.
might still be in a shout as well for some European spots
Yeah.
because eighth position could still be Europa League if Palace were to lose. No, yeah, if Palace were to lose the final
Lose.
against
Yeah.
Man
The
City,
final. Yeah.
then eighth spot goes to Conference League or Europa League. I'm trying to think now.
I think
it
it's
goes to Conference League.
Conference League.
And-
Yeah.
And seventh gets Europa, right? So there's still a lot of teams from you can see in there up to Brighton in 10th, even Fulham you could say.
Yeah. Even
in
Fulham.
11th,
Yeah.
who we might think there's something to play for to get into European competitions.
Yeah.
So below Fulham, I probably would ignore a lot of those teams, but then you've also got Cunha for Wolves, Bowen for West Ham. Those are good assets. So yeah, I would target Forest, Villa, Bournemouth probably, and you're going to have some sort of Brentford attack as well. So they're probably the ones I'd go for most. And then Man City we've got as well. Anyways.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I think that sounds really good, and good shout there as well. Big hello to everyone still in the chat and still sort of tuned with us. We're going like 1 hour, 45 minutes or so.
Wow.
It's been a pleasure catching up with you, Pabs, and we'll try and go for another sort of 10, 15 minutes or so, and jump to our bus team shortly. But I just wanted to also mention that, so Colm, thanks for being in the chat and tuning in. So Colm says the only lower league teams that are on the same clean sheet level with the top sides are Wolves 5 in the last 14 game weeks and Palace 6 in the last 14 game weeks. Interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just really tough, I think, sometimes. I think it makes a great point. But I think it goes back to that, how many transfers you have, because it's so precious at the moment.
Yeah.
And again, if you have Palace assets or Wolves assets, or if that makes sense to hold on to them. But I struggle at the moment to try and make a move to those teams because it feels like a bit of a risk to go and get a Wolves defender or a Palace defender when their fixtures, from a defensive point of view, are tough. And maybe I focus too much on fixtures, but I try and look at that as that, to me, is probably the most important for how I pick my team. What fixtures are coming up. After that, probably form, close second. So Wolves are in good form, but are they going to keep clean sheets against Brighton, Palace, Brentford? I don't see many there. Same with Palace, even though they play a Tottenham side that would have had European football.
Yeah.
They got Tottenham, Wolves, Liverpool. I maybe don't expect too many clean sheets. So it's tough to try and, at the moment, target teams lower down that have little to play for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. I don't see myself going for like Chelsea, just kind of touching on the previous question a little bit there. I just don't see myself going for Chelsea players, and Palmer, just feels, kind of washed away a little bit at the moment. Like this season's pretty much, I think for him, he probably wants to rest. I think Villa are the ones that I'm a little bit uncertain about. Like, have you got Rodgers? I can't remember. You don't have Rodgers in your team?
No,
do you?
I've just sold him. I had him since game week 1 right up to last week.
Wow, yeah.
I absolutely love Rodgers, and I would have, if I didn't need to get 11 players playing in game week 34, and I could have benched him, I would have happily had him on the bench for the end of the season. But unfortunately, I had to keep Murphy, who for a while, I say that, for a while, Murphy was brilliant. But the last few weeks he's been awful, and I would much rather
Yeah.
have someone like a Rodgers than a Murphy at this point.
Yeah, same. I'm thinking, Saar I've had through the doubles that Palace has had, and he's just not got me the points. And, in hindsight, I don't know, I went Asensio, who missed 2 pens, and, that still sort of
Yeah,
stings me a little bit. But yeah, I just feel like I've had really bad shit luck over the last
yeah,
couple of game weeks, and I'm on, like whilst it says it's a green arrow, that's like the rank that I got going into game week 35, but I'm definitely going to be on a red arrow this game week. But talk about sort of first world problems. Here you are, sort of sitting and hovering around top 1k, and I'm still hovering around top 10k. So can't complain too much.
that's
But yeah,
true.
it's pretty disappointing when you sort of like you spend so much time playing FPL. And but while I sort of transitioned to our game week 36 bus team, Pabs, how do you deal with like the highs and lows of FPL, and just having bad game weeks? And like this game week, obviously you're all out on 42 points, and how's that been through the course of the season for you, like the highs and lows aspects of it? And yeah, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I'm quite a emotional person when it comes to this stuff. Like, as in, I know people, it's just a game, and I always say that
Mm,
enjoy it, play the game how you want to play it to enjoy it. But I do, when I've had a bad week, it kind of affect that day.
yeah.
There have been times this year where I've actually avoided Saturday games. So if
Yeah, right.
so for example, I know that sounds a bit counterproductive for someone who wants to make content on teams, but on a Saturday, if there's lots of players playing that I don't own, that are highly owned, or my captain's not playing and lots of people are
Mm,
hoping for it, I sometimes don't actually watch the games, and then I just watch matches a day later.
yeah.
And basically what I'm doing there is, if teams deliver and I see my rank plummeting all Saturday, I'll constantly be checking Twitter, live FPL, my team, people around me, my mini leagues, the fact that they're going to overtake me and all that kind of stuff. And if I
Mm,
spend a lot of time thinking about that, I just get in my head, and it gets me quite frustrated with the game. So I think it's not even worth it. Like, step away
no,
from it,
no.
go live life, enjoy it. You've done all the week, you've done your planning, your prepping, your thinking,
Mm,
you've made your decisions. Once that deadline's gone, there's literally nothing you can do. So I just go and enjoy my Saturday and actually go and live my life and do something.
yeah.
And then when I come back to and watch match a day later, maybe it'll be good or bad, but it's like it's that one moment, and then you can go to bed and you sleep on it and you're fine. Because I
Yeah.
do know that it can affect people quite a bit if you
Yeah,
had
of
a particular
course.
bad week. And
Yeah.
if you're torture yourself just looking on social media and stuff, it's just honestly the worst
Yeah.
thing you can probably do. I've actually gone to the extent of, if there's certain accounts that are quite troll like
Yeah.
accounts on Twitter that come up a lot, I just mute them. And I just think
Yeah.
it's not worth,
It's
because
not
there are
worth
people
it.
that, no, it's you're going to be happy about your team, but some people go, oh, why
Mm,
would you ever pick X, Y, and Z as a captain? Like, that's an awful decision. And it's like just trying to get a rise out of people. And if you're seeing that and you're seeing people's great scores, I think, you know
yeah.
what? Step away, go do something else, enjoy yourself, because it is just a game at the end of the day.
Mm,
So enjoy it
yeah.
that way. That's what I do. And even like I said on Saturday, when I saw Sessegnon was booked and he was on for 0 points, and I was like my biggest differential, and my captain was already blanked the night before, and I looked at my live FPL, and I
Yeah.
was on an 8 points away from my safety score
Mm,
with Mbermo, Salah, and Isak to play, who were all going to hurt my rank.
yeah.
I thought, you know what? I stopped watching. I went to the gym, just left the house, just did
Yeah.
something to
Nice.
just go, do you know what? It's not worth me sat here on the sofa
Yeah.
like dwelling on that. It's literally just a game. So I just left and I just thought, let me go do something else. And
Yeah.
then I was fine.
Yeah, that's so good. And I couldn't agree. I agree with everything that you said there. And I think I was having a better season when I wasn't watching much football and I wasn't spending long making decisions about FPL. And I've had the most turbulent 6 months of or 5 months now of my life, and
Mhm.
it's been really tough. I lost my dad, and it was a really tough period. For me being 3 months in the UK, and then just kind of had a month back in Australia before I started making content again, and there is a little bit of pressure around doing well and making content and sort of playing well, that kind of thing. But I think I took that pressure away from myself the last season when I started this show, because it was very much about my journey, how I was playing, and what I wanted to do with my team, and it was like my team, my emotions, type of thing, and I definitely live by that as well, and it's really helped me in a massive way this season. Now, whilst like generally the FPL community, whether it's on the socials like Blue Sky or Twitter, or just the YouTube community, everyone's been so kind and supportive. And look, I was quite open and honest about, look, I'm not going to be an engaged manager for I don't know however long. I need to prioritize what's happening in my life, and I did. And whilst I was still playing the game, I was just making very last minute decisions. I wasn't really thinking about watching any games, or I was looking at a little bit of data here and there. You and I were chatting. I was chatting to people like FPL Crisis, who's a good friend over here from the Australian community, and I kept it super low key, like who I was catching up with, and just making sure that I was getting some information in between, and then just making a decision and making a call. And I have to admit, I've not watched any football for about 4 or 5 months now, not properly anyway. And that's really hard for someone that was probably doing more eye test, and despite sort of the time zone, I feel like my mental health has generally been a lot better, because I was just not been, whilst being going through lots of other things, like from a grieving perspective, I've just feel like it's a game, and I'm super disengaged from the outcome, that my team has got me, and the point side of it, and all of that. So I feel so much better about it, that I didn't spend too long on planning my game weeks and things like that. Last couple of game weeks, though, I've spent more time on it, because I've had a bit more, I feel a bit more balanced in, immersing myself back into being in Australia, and just, being a bit more sort of settled with having my mum here and everything. So my, the game weeks have not been disruptive from a life point of view. And so I've been able to give, FPL a little bit more time, and I'm already regretting it, because I'm overthinking like my captaincy, going from Marmoush to Mbumo, back to Marmoush, back to Mbumo, and then just leaving on Marmoush. And, if that was me a couple of months ago, I probably would have just made that decision right like 10, 15 minutes before the deadline. And I would have just closed the app and forgotten about it until the results, and so... Yeah, I want to go back to that for the remainder 3 game weeks if I can.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, that makes sense. Obviously, with everything that you have gone through this year, like it puts into a lot of perspective of the important stuff in life, and like that this is a game. Like it's meant to be enjoyed, and that is tough sometimes, because, I mean, I'm bad for it myself. Like if I have a bad week, or if I'm watching something that's not going my way, like that can affect my mood, and I know it can. But sometimes I'm sat with friends who play it very casually. And like I'll be watching the game, and I'll be saying, yes, my captain scored, and they're like, what's happened? He's like, you don't support like Man United. Why are you celebrating Bruno? It's like, yeah, but he's my captain. And they're like, yeah, but you're here with us having a drink. Why are you? And so they're in a completely other world of like they play casually, and like you can live those moments. So sometimes taking that step back and going, do you know what? It is a game.
It is a game.
Just enjoy it. Make those decisions. I always try and say this: the decisions that you make, like kind of what you said. If you make a decision yourself and it goes right or wrong, great, you've made that decision. There's a fine balance between watching content and taking that information in, and then making decisions based off what someone said you should do. And if you do that and then things aren't going well, I think that makes it worse. So just enjoy it. Pick players you like. If you're going to watch them on TV, or you support that team and you want to captain them, so be it. It doesn't really matter. Like in the end of the day, unless you're trying to win it, which then there's something on the line, or you're winning your mini league, then I just think just enjoy it. Like if I finish top 1K, I'll be over the moon. If I finish before I start the season, there's no way that I would have said I'm going to be in this position. So when I put that with hindsight, I go, do you know what? Why was I in a bad mood on Saturday? Because my player got a yellow card and was getting 0 points. It doesn't matter. Like, I've had a good season. I've had fun with it. Who cares?
Yeah. That's exactly like the perspective I'm trying to maintain as well. Like I was top 5K for quite a few game weeks, and spent a fair bit of time hovering around there, not really going beyond. Like I think 3K is probably the highest I've got to this season so far, and I don't feel that bad about it because I'm still having a good season, and hopefully I can finish in top 10K, and that's great. I'm really happy with that for like my fourth season. I'm really happy to have two top 10K finishes.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
very good. It's very
not
impressive. A lot of people
yeah.
want that.
Yeah, a lot of people want that. So it's definitely sort of perspective, right? And I think sometimes we can be too hard on ourselves as well, so and put that pressure on ourselves unnecessarily. But yeah, interesting point that you made about like the comments that you get sometimes and muting. I do the same. I've muted a lot of, accounts. I don't really have the philosophy of blocking as such, but I definitely sort of mute accounts that are a bit too much sometimes. And I do get quite a few managers like who will comment on my tweets or whatever to say, why did you do that? Or
Yeah,
and just fully invested in my team, more invested than I am in that particular game week as well. And I'm sort of like, oh my God, I've not spent this much time talking to someone about like a decision I've made for my team.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But I think people got to also remember, like a lot of people post good and bad. Like I post every week, well, because I'm doing content, I suppose,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to grow an audience.
Yeah.
I try and post everything that I'm thinking or what I've done. But some people that will only post the good stuff. So when you go on
Yeah.
Twitter and you've had a
True.
bad week,
Yeah.
all you're going to see is a bunch of like amazing scores, amazing decisions, things
Yeah.
that have gone well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're going to go, oh wow, like it's going to make you feel worse, and it's just not worth it. So that's why I stay away. And if things go well, I try not to be too cocky about it or whatever. Just try and
Yeah.
like not be a dick, I suppose.
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's tough, but yeah, we kind
Yeah,
of, yeah, just roll with the punches.
yeah, it's a game.
Perhaps let's jump to your bus team. There's a couple of questions that are coming through in the chat, and we'll
Yeah,
definitely get to the questions as well. And I will definitely sort of highlight them and jump to those shortly. So if you have any more questions, please do pop them in. If you popped a question in a lot earlier in the stream, please do pop that question in again. I won't go too far up. We have been going for quite some time, and thank you to everyone that's tuned in for the whole sort of almost 2 hours or so that we've been going. And I'm really glad that it is a bank holiday over there for you, Pab. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've got
thanks for
nothing planned. I've got
joining
all
me.
afternoon if you want.
No, it's great. And it's 11 p.m. over here, so yeah, I've still got a bit of time, but I should probably think about going to bed. And
Yeah, fair
yeah,
enough.
there's no way I'm catching the 5 a.m. game between Palace and Forest. But yeah, tell us about your bus team and potential sort of transfers as well.
Yeah, so at the moment, I've got Ariola in goal against Man United away. I'm benching Raya. My back three is Sessegnon at home to Everton, Gvardiol away to Southampton, and Livramento at home to Chelsea. Midfield is Salah, Saka, and Bowen with Murphy on my bench. And I've got Cunha, Marmoush, and Isak up top. So I'm currently on Marmoush captain, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to land on that. In fact, I think he's probably, even though I've got him there as captain, he's very close with Burma right now.
Yeah.
But I've got a transfer in mind that I think if I do it, it's probably going to be my captain, which would be to sell Isak for Chris Wood. And if I do that, I think Chris Wood, if I remember correctly, did quite well against Leicester in the reverse fixture. He might have got a couple of goals. Leicester, I know they've just beat Southampton 2-0, but Southampton Leicester was never going to be. I don't think that matters too much to my thinking. I think I want to bring in Chris Wood.
Yeah.
As long as if he plays all right tonight, he doesn't get injured, and he plays close to 90 still, there's no reason to think that he's going to get rotated or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'll bring in Chris Wood for Isak. I'm like 95% sure that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
And then if I do that, I will captain Wood because he plays Leicester, and then after that he plays West Ham, so I don't mind those fixtures at all. It is a bit of a gamble because so many people own Isak, but I think that's going to be a very cagey game. Like Chelsea have been good defensively, but neither team would be that upset with a draw, I don't think. So I don't know if there's going to be big risks, and maybe I'm building the narrative for my transfer plans.
Yeah.
But I think if I sell Isaac, and I would happily play Liverman, so I could see that being a 1-0 either way, and 0-0 even, a close game. So I'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
I might even, because I'm not sure on Saka
Impulse.
against
What's your
Liverpool.
impulse
Yeah,
move?
my impulse side that's been itching to make the second transfer as well. Is I might move Murphy to like a Gibbs White from -4, which then would mean dropping Saka to the bench probably and playing
Oof.
Gibbs White.
Yeah.
But this is my conundrum with it: is do I think Gibbs White 100% outscore Saka by 5 or 6 points or more to make it worthwhile? I don't know. I think that Arsenal Liverpool game or Liverpool Arsenal game at Anfield could be a good game.
Yeah.
Both teams will probably. I don't think either's gonna play that defensively. They'll both want to win. I think.
Yeah. I
I
think
don't know.
I think you're right there because I feel like you've talked me into playing Saka. Like, I mean, let's see how UCL goes, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is all sort
Gonna
of
say this
pending
might be like
UCL.
this might be like Marmoush captain all over again.
It could be. I mean, well, I guess like like we touched on earlier about the 1 points and the 2 points and the 3 points that I've definitely been getting in my team. So like Saar and Murphy, and look, a different day Murphy's getting 2 assists or something, right? But he's not getting the minutes. Like he's not
No.
making it to 60 at the moment. And then Saka, for instance, he was sitting like previous game week. He's sitting, or this game week even, he's sitting on my bench with 2 points, which is 1 point more than Murphy. So we're talking about like fine margins now, right? Going into the last couple of game weeks of the season. And so when you then think about, can Gibbs White get, I don't know, 5 points, more than 4 points for the hit that you might take potentially, right? And so it's really tough because I think like we're all thinking about making a little bit of having a bit more of an edge and making those few gains, just using the free transfers. But when you're thinking about hits, it's really tough, and you're sitting at 1K. So yeah.
Yeah. The other one is possibly like a Saka to De Bruyne for a -4, But then it's tough because I love De Bruyne. Absolutely love the guy. And I did a wildcard team last week and I put De Bruyne in that because
Yeah.
I just assumed that now the home games. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think Pep has come out and said that De Bruyne is playing the next 2 games at the Etihad. Just as a sort of a
Is
goodbye
that what
thing.
he said?
I
Because
think he said something along the lines of that.
right, okay, that changes a bit. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
and he's obviously played last game. I assume he plays Southampton as well, and then he probably plays the last game at the Etihad. Probably comes off a little bit early to get the ovation and all that stuff. So
yeah.
I imagine that he will play
Let's
those
just have a
games,
look at it.
including the Bournemouth game, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah, yeah. So City have got, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they've got Bournemouth and then Fulham, right at the end there. It's an away game. Interesting. Okay, so all right. So I think the only thing that I had in mind was, is KDB going to play? And I was thinking about like the final as well. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, will KDB play the FA Cup final? Not sure.
You'd think a player like him in the past, you'd want a player like that playing, but he's been benched for the last few FA Cup games.
Yeah.
And I expected him to play more of those games, given the importance of still wanting to go for silverware.
Yeah.
But I imagine Pep is putting more importance on the top 4 right now, top 5 right now, to get the Champions League. But once it gets to a final, maybe that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I'd be tempted. Yeah, I'd be tempted. Like Saka to KDB was something I was thinking. Like, I think after I guess just benching him and thinking I keep Saka for a bit longer, that Newcastle fixture, and then the Southampton fixture, game week 38. I want to hold Saka, and I think there's probably many managers like you and others who are holding onto Saka as well. But then, there are managers like who I had Brian on the show a couple of, like just previous game week, who captained, they brought in KDB. They had KDB in the team, I think, and then captained KDB. So, got returns there. So I don't know if I'm chasing the previous week's points in doing so. I don't know. Yeah.
There's the other thing you said about like how you gain rank at this stage. I mean, if I take a -4 from Saka to De Bruyne,
Yeah.
there's already a lot of people around me that own De Bruyne, so the gains from that move are not
No.
huge. But if I go Murphy to Gibbs White and Gibbs White gets 10, 12 points,
Yeah.
not,
That's
not that I'm
huge.
thinking
Yeah.
that's a bigger help as long as like a KDB doesn't do the same. So that's what I'm thinking. I just think it's a move for this week.
Yeah.
Like Isak to Wood, I think is going to happen for me as captain as long
Yeah.
as. And then the second one is like if I go Murphy to Gibbs White, it's for this week because beyond that, my team is all right. So
Yeah.
I don't think I want
It's
to play Gibbs White after that necessarily.
no.
So
Yeah.
it's a very 1 week punt, maybe 2 weeks if he plays
Yeah.
well. Maybe I play him against West Ham,
Yeah.
but then who am I dropping? Am I dropping Cunha or Saka or Marmoush for the next week?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. I popped that down here. Like, that's what
That's
you're
all the stuff
thinking.
that's going to go through my brain at the moment, anyways.
Yeah. 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 I should send you a link to this board. You can-
Be a lot of
I've been,
sticky notes everywhere.
yeah, I've been using it, like obsessively. Like I'll show you, like this is what, for everyone that's tuned in,
Wow.
this is the season. This is the
Wow.
season's planning and, like the off the cuff kind of, season. Like obviously I've missed quite a few game weeks in there. That's not, 36 game weeks or 5 game weeks there. I've lost a whole chunk of the season, but yeah, it kind of gives you a gist of like, and it's so nice to just kind of hone in on a couple of game weeks here and there and sort of have a look at. So like, I'll show you really quickly. This was, when I was chatting to Brian, we were thinking about like what the free hit would look like, right? And so I was initially thinking, oh yeah, I'll have these on my free hit. Ended up bringing, Jimenez there. So it's been really good to kind of go back on the season and have a look at, what I've been thinking. And why I made certain moves the way I did.
It's nice to have a record of it all, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So look, my bus team for game week 36, I've got double Forest defence. I've got Sells in goal. I've got Guardiol, Murillo and Munoz, who have a fixture against Spurs, hopefully a clean sheet. Oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, or not a clean sheet. I'm not sure what could happen there actually. It's a tricky game week. For Palace, but I've got Murphy starting at the moment. I've got Sarr, I've got Salah and captain on Brian and Mbumo at the moment against Ipswich. I am tentatively now thinking off the back of our conversation that I play Saka instead of Murphy, but I'm also thinking removing Saka for Bowen or a KDB. I'm not sure. Like I feel like around me, I think when I was looking at the threats to my rank, I think KDB is still 27% owned there around me. Now that could be more going into this game week. Bowen is at like 38%, so that's still relatively high. So I'm not going to get that many gains there. KDB, I'm not going to get, if that increases to 40% as well, then I'm not going to get that many gains there. Rodgers with a whopping 65%, I'm definitely going to make a loss there. I mean, he only got 3 points, and I was like, effective points against me was 2 points. That's high.
Nice.
So that's a little bit scary. And then I'm thinking, oh God, I'm then making defensive moves, right? And there's only like 3 game weeks to go. I don't want to make that many defensive moves. Where do I go, right? And so everyone else is not that bad. I mean, the Brian and Mbumo points against me was just the captaincy there, and I'm dreading Mateta, with the upcoming fixture. Yeah, that's right. Like, and he's highly owned as well. So going back to my bus team, I'm then thinking, do I just play Saka because Liverpool have been leaky, and so maybe I don't do anything and maybe I just, roll the transfer, play Saka. He'll be a differential. I think like Saka around me was only 11% owned, interestingly, because so many managers jumped off, Saka and brought in KDB or, went elsewhere. So I either make a defensive move, leave it as it is, keep Saka and play Saka against leaky Liverpool at the moment, or I make a move and go completely differential, and I'm not sure what that differential pick is. But I'm definitely thinking, if I think about my front line, so, very similar to your thinking, where I've got Marmoush at the moment, I've got Isak, and thankfully I've got Wissa there, so that's not a transfer I'm thinking about, making. I know many managers are now thinking, oh, do I go for, Wissa there up front, getting rid of Mateta maybe, if that's who they have. But Isak is a player I'm thinking I could probably sacrifice. Whilst he's really highly owned, I don't mind sacrificing Isak there and bringing in a Chris Wood or a Watkins, or I think, if we go back to the fixtures and, some of the players that we were thinking there, even Nilsson, Bournemouth have got Villa at home and could easily get a goal, there. And so, City fixture doesn't sort of excite me too much. But again, could get a goal, could nick a goal there as well. And then Leicester as well. So I'm not sure. Like, Wood definitely on my mind. Even Nilsson on my mind. Cunha as well. You've got Cunha in your side already. Again, decent fixtures for Wolves to get some returns there as well. So so that's where I'm thinking at the moment, that I just leave Saka there. If I do make a move, maybe I take the opportunity to take Isak out. I just feel like I've got a very, I think double Forest defence is going to be a huge differential for me this week. And, I'm really, really hoping that they get their defensive act together, because they've not been very good of late. And I played my wild card quite a few game weeks ago and brought in double, Forest defence, who lost their clean sheet, not that long ago as well. So let's see. I haven't really decided where I'm going to go, but that's what I'm thinking at the moment. So Isak to Wood or Watkins, or even Nilsson, or could go anywhere really. Take your pick, lucky dip. Might have to spin the wheel type of thing. Over here, but that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm probably obviously not going to play Saliba and Raya. I just don't think. Watch how they're going to keep a clean sheet or something now.
It was typical Arsenal. In previous seasons, you would have said, or if Arsenal still had something to play for, Arsenal have been very good at keeping clean sheets in big games like this.
Yeah.
But I just don't. At Anfield as well, when there's been the kind of title race has been between the two, although it's not really been a race of recent times, but there's a bit of maybe it's more the fans and the clubs, but there's almost like a bit of a animosity between the two this year. Arsenal and Liverpool fans giving each other some stick on social and stuff. So I don't think it's going to be a boring game, and I hope they don't give us a boring 0-0, because I think both teams could go and attack this game and make it a bit of a show really. But you never know.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I think my gut says to make a move. I don't know. I think I'm at that sort of point in the season where I've had a bit of a yo-yo, up and down with red arrow, green arrow, going on. And I'm in, obviously I'm at the moment I'm in top 10K, but I'd love to sort of, try for a little bit higher if I can. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I don't go for a couple of differential picks, I feel like. And defensively, as you saw from, those that are hurting my rank at the moment, yes, that could still be a pain. But I just feel like if I go for Bowen, if I go for KDB, I'm not going to really make that many gains either. So I'm tempted to just, to not go there at the moment.
Fair enough. What about captaincy? Are you quite set on the Burmo?
At the moment, yes. But I'm also thinking, do I just go for Wissa as well? Just not go for a pen taker. It's not how I've been playing this season. I've definitely been swaying towards taking, putting the captaincy on someone, like a penalty taker. But I'm not sure. If I go for a maybe even a Cunha, right? So if we look at the fixtures again, so Wolves have got Brighton at home. Brighton, they only let in one goal against Newcastle, and that was a home fixture for Brighton. So I don't know. Maybe who else would I bring in and captain? Wood is the only other player that I can think of, right, against Leicester. So I've only got one spot. So I've got double Forest defence. I've only got one spot remaining. That's the only sort of probably other player that I'm thinking that I could captain against Leicester. But yeah, otherwise Ipswich is a really good fixture for an informed Brian Mbumo and for Wissa as well. So it's really tricky. I think there's gonna, I think either one, like Wissa or Wood, it will get, I think, could go off and get me gains in that sort of forward position. Going against Mbumo, who's probably going to be the highest captained player, I reckon, this game week.
I think so.
Will be painful as well, and probably will get punished more than what we have already going against him this game week, in game week 35. So,
That's my worry as well. Because I think, and this probably isn't the right way to play the game, or if you want to put it, but if I was bringing in Wissa, I would probably captain in Burma and hope that Brentford batter Ipswich.
yeah.
But because I think I'm going to bring in Wood, I might go Chris Wood captain and hope that Ipswich put in a half decent performance and keep the score to a minimum. Now, it's very risky to try and hope that Ipswich keep Brentford out from scoring many goals, but if I was doubling up on the attack for Brentford, it would probably sway that, and I would be hoping. Does that make sense? I'll be hoping that they batter Ipswich, but because I might go Wood, I think that might help me more if he does score another 2 goals, and then Burma only gets the 1 or something. It's probably going to be that close either way around, and Burma maybe gets 2, Wood 1 or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. That's what I hope, anyways. That's not going to be a massive swing either way.
Yeah, absolutely, and. Yeah, I think, I'm sure we'll be chatting about it and trying to work out
definitely.
like where we where we sort of end up there. But I'm just going to have a very quick look at the chat and just see if there's any other questions that are coming through as well. So King Jr., should I bench Rodgers to start Cunha for game week 36? Let me just go back to over here so we can take a look at some of the questions. I would start. Oh, that's hard.
I think I would probably go Cunha. I think so. I just think I think that's the kind of game that you can see a few goals in. Brighton, Wolves at home to Brighton. I think there could be some goals in that.
Yeah.
Cunha's he can go off in any game as well. He's so good at getting
he's so good.
points and things like that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the best fixture for Cunha now to end the season is probably this one. So if you have Cunha, I think it's the best game now. So if you're holding on to him, you might as well play in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it. Another question from King Jr. Is it worth starting an Arsenal defender for game week 36? I have Kiwior. Yeah, I guess you could if you don't have any other options. I don't know. You can get a return. You could get an attacking return potentially.
Yeah, I'm building it up as in my head as an exciting game, but it could be that it's a boring 0-0 or something, or you could get a clean sheet, you could get something there. But if you had anyone else, it might be worth playing them, depending on who you have. Basically, I wouldn't be taking a minus. I know we talked a bit earlier. I don't think I'd be taking a -4 to get an Arsenal defender out for someone else.
Yeah.
But so I'd play them if you have no one else. But if not, then just play anyone. Yeah. Newcastle defenders. Defenders probably got a better chance.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'd rather play Livramento if you got a Livramento or something. Yeah. All right, last question from, I think, King Jr. So I currently own Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes? Is that how you say it? Is that right? Fernandes, yeah. Yeah, I'm learning. Thank you.
That's all right.
And I was planning on keeping him this week and selling him next week. Is that the right thing to do? It's tricky without the context of your full team. But he got benched and there's a lot of rotation going on there. So,
It's a tough one because I think after the Bilbao game, I don't expect United to rotate that much. Bruno is capable of playing 90 minutes weekend, midweek. It's not that he can't. I think Ruben was more, he doesn't really care about the league anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's more, does he want to risk a player like Bruno getting injured more than is he fit enough? Because he can play every game, every minute. He often does.
Yeah.
So I imagine that after the Bilbao game, he will come back into the side. But I think there are better options for the fixtures that Man United have. The fact that they don't care about the league too much, I think there
Yeah.
are better options to end the season on than Bruno. Like,
Yeah, I
KDB
agree.
if he can get to it, or even like a Forest midfielder, a few
Yeah.
other options. Bowen, if you haven't got him, players like that, I think are probably better than Bruno.
Yeah, I would even say taking a hit, would be okay as well, like just from a
Yeah.
better options perspective and, from everything that you mentioned, Pabs. I totally agree. And I'm just having a look at so Kanji, welcome to the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Any thoughts on Trent leaving? I will timestamp this stream, and we talked a fair bit about Trent and him leaving, and I think the too long didn't read version, the TLDR, is the I'm really happy for him. I'm sad, disappointed that we're not getting much money for him, but otherwise, I'm really happy for him. I think I didn't expect him to even make it to this season, if I'm honest. I was thinking maybe he would have left last season, but we would have sold him. So that's where I'm at there. But I will timestamp the video. Maybe you can go back and watch it and leave me a comment. In fact, it's probably a good time to say, those of you that are still tuned in, we've gone over 2 hours, and I'm very appreciative of your time. If you're tuning in for the first time, please do like and subscribe. Super rambly, off the cuff, very impromptu, and you probably would have seen my collaboration board that I use for me to track my FPL season, and I'll probably do a retrospective at the end of the season. Probably not straight off the bat, end of the season. I think my plan is I'll probably do something in July, because I'm going to be heading back to the UK early June for a couple of weeks, settle my mum back into the UK, because she's over here with me in Sydney. So I'll be back in the UK for a couple of game weeks. Look at that. Everything is centered around game weeks. A couple of weeks I'll be back in London, and I'll see if I can tag team on a meetup or something like that, or organize something in London, and just put a call out on the socials if anyone's around to grab a beer or something in London while I'm in town. That would be awesome to do. But please do, like the stream or leave a comment. I love, reading the comments, and always reply to comments as well. So leave me a comment afterwards or something. So Frostbolter is asking, bench Trippier, Concert or Kirkes this week. Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah, I'd probably be tempted Concert.
Concert, yeah.
I know people have Villa defence. I'm not sure they keep a clean sheet. Away from home, Villa are a little bit worse than at home.
Yeah.
If it was at home, I think there's a better chance. Away, they don't keep many clean sheets. I think I'd maybe just be Concert. The other two at least have decent attacking threat.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So FPL Big Head, Wood versus Cunha for 2-week punt will cap either if I brought them in for this game week. Well, I think we just, I think you were in the chat, or you were listening when Pabs mentioned that he's thinking about, I'll go back to your bus team there. So you're thinking Isak to Wood and captaincy at the moment. So there you go. That's your confirmation bias if you needed it from top 1K in the world, who's thinking to do that at the moment. No pressure. But Pabs, if you do choose to change your mind, it's okay as well.
Well, the thing is, I'm away all this week, so I picked quite a bad time to go on holiday, really. But I'm away all week, so I will be making my decision probably after tonight. So so after tonight's game, because I fly out tomorrow, I'm not going to be. I don't want to even leave it to chance that I forget or something. So I'll probably be making the transfer and captain in Wood, as long as he stays fit and he plays, all right and close tonight, all that stuff. But I might, if anything else happens midweek, like injuries or anything like that, then that's when I take my -4 and I just got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, you do. And, just not to forget that you're having an incredible season, and you'll continue to have, an incredible season for the remainder couple of game weeks as well. So.
Well, last time I was here, game week 11 helped me push up to the top 10K. So hopefully after the luck from here, I might go and win the whole thing. Who knows?
I need the luck at the moment. I'm just like, I've had a terrible free hit. I've had, terrible game weeks where I've had, like the Asensio gate, I'm going to start calling it that. So yeah, I'm really hoping that some of your good luck will, help me after this stream as well. Reedy, so great to have you in the chat, and congratulations to you as well, who's a huge Reedy's a huge Liverpool supporter, so yeah, doing good. And yeah, definitely I'd love to grab a beer with Gary. I'll definitely sort of do a bit of planning around it and put a call out if anyone's around who wants to grab a beer, wine or beverage of choice in London. That would be nice. Hopefully I'll have a bit of time for that this time round. Reedy's asking, Timber out for a Forest defender and KDB out for Murphy, or Salah out. Oh gosh, really? Salah out for KDB and Watkins out for Haaland if we get a leak for a -4.
That is a really tough choice. So KDB out for Murphy, or Murphy out for KDB?
Yeah, so KDB out for, let me read that again. So Timber out for a Forest defender and KDB out for Murphy, or Salah out for KDB and Watkins out for Haaland if we get a leak. Oh my God.
I don't think I would. Yeah, I don't think I'd be selling KDB.
Playing with fire.
Yeah. I would probably, if...
KDB in, he said.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're looking at this like, how do we answer this without saying, are you mad? Are you smoking crack, Reedy?
Yeah, I was thinking like, I'm not sure. I was going to say just Timber up for Williams or something. And don't do a -4. But no, I think...
KDB in.
Yeah. KDB in and Timber out for Forest defender, KDB in for -4.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. If there was a leak, Haaland starts, I wouldn't even be tempted. In my own team, I did cross my mind for a second to go Isak to Haaland and drop Saka down to Enzo Fernandez or something like that for a -4 and captain Haaland. But I just, unless I'm not going to be able to probably follow the leagues this week.
Yeah.
So it's not. But if you had the option to go Haaland, it's good, but not for Salah. I think that's a big risk. Salah may not do much against Arsenal, but he's got some records to catch. And that last game of the season at home to Palace, talked about a little bit earlier, I think he could go big in that game. Yeah. So probably the first one, Timber for Forest defender, bring KDB in for Murphy.
Yeah, agree. And Coleman's just highlighted that this is as nearly as long as the Have a Beer episode. That's absolutely right. I think Gary mentioned that my conversation with him, which was 3 hours long, if anyone has time for it and wants to hear me waffle on about less about the game week and more about just everything, then please do catch the Have a Beer episode, and hopefully you won't get too bored, and hopefully he's timestamped it as well, because that would be awful as well. No, I'm only kidding.
I've got a 4-hour train journey down south.
Oh gosh,
later today, shall I say? So maybe you
can catch some of it. Reedy just said, Salah not chilling now we've won the league. No, he's got records to break. To break, and can just see how much what could happen towards the end there. So I think that's pretty much it. And thank you, Big Head. Best stream I've been to so far. We'll be back. Thank you so much. And please do, like I say, hit like and subscribe as well. I really do appreciate it. And Pabs, for the last sort of minute or so before I get you to do a bit of a plug-in and, say sort of farewell after a very long stream, I'm going to do a bit of a rapid fire with you. I'm testing this out, this season, or this sort of part of the season. It's not actually 45 seconds. I'm going to be kinder. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. And I'm so sorry that you're not even going to see the timer, but I'm going to ask you some random questions. I'm going to put a post-it note on this because this is how we iterate. and
Okay.
and just make
I'll try not to
changes.
ramble too much because I can waffle a little bit.
So you're going to have to go
it'll be a good test.
fast. You're going to have to go fast on the the responses to these questions, and I will do my best to read them out as quickly as possible as well. So the whole point of it is that you're just input. So I want you to channel the impulse in FPL Impulse right now,
Okay.
and just give me an answer as quickly as possible. So I will put a timer on my end. So you're not going to really know. I need to work out a way of making sure that you can see the timer as well, because that sort of defeats the purpose of doing this. Anyway, so timer is on. First question: wildcard or free hit? Which one do you like?
Which one I prefer? Free hit.
Okay. Double game weeks: overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
First player on your FPL team every year?
Salah.
Okay. Your most frustrating player this season?
Nicholas Jackson, no doubt.
Yes, same. Your team's all-time troll player?
Dino.
Oh, yeah, have to agree
Yeah.
with that. Chase team value or ignore price changes?
Chase team value, but that's
Nice.
not good advice. But chase team value.
Which footballer would you trust with your FPL login?
Diogo Jota.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
he seems to play it quite regularly.
Yeah, nice. Okay. VAR, keep or bin?
Bin.
Yeah.
Eat it.
Early transfers or last minute panic?
Early transfers and then panic later on.
And then panic later on. That's fair. And what's the weirdest place you've made an FPL transfer from?
I don't know. This isn't good advice. I used to sit in my lectures planning my FPL transfers when I was back at uni. So again, not great advice. Study harder than I did, but
Love it.
I used to write down on my little notebook what plans I wanted to do. So there we go.
That's brilliant. That's so good. Look, you did so well. You did really, really well. I think your time ran out like maybe 5 seconds over. So now, the way I'm doing this, I tested this out with Brian, and he went way over. He gave me sort of long responses, right? And I was like, no, you got to go faster. So I'm thinking 45 seconds definitely not going to work. 60 seconds might just be okay, but maybe I need to increase that to 90 or something. Yeah, I might. I'll have to see how that goes. But
that's fun. I like that.
Yeah, it was really good. It looks like there's one more question come through from Rosa Donna. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right there. Hi guys, would you swap Murphy to Sade this week or bring Wissa into the team in a few weeks? Ooh, I bring Wissa in now. Sade, Murphy to Sade.
I probably
don't mind it.
Yeah, I probably would, Charlotte. If you have to wait a few weeks for Wissa, the best fixture is the Ipswich game. So probably that week, but do take it with a pinch of salt because Charlotte is a bit of a troll himself. Like I've experienced this myself. I brought him in on a free hit and things, and he has games where he looks amazing, but his technical ability and in front of goal, he's not brilliant.
Yeah.
So he does get you chances because he's so fast and direct, but his end products are not great. So yeah, Whistle would be ideal, but if you can't, I would rather go Sharding now than wait to bring him in after Ipswich because I think that's too late maybe.
That's the game, that you want to bring him in for sure. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Reedy. I think a minute is perfect. Yeah, we'll give that a go. And hopefully I can work out how to get the timer on the screen this time so you can see it and everyone can see it as well. But FPL Impulse, Pabs, thank you so much for a wonderful conversation today. Honestly, we've talked about all the things and it's been, really good chat. I've got lots to think about in terms of the transfers that I want to make. You and I are having a bit of a clusterfuck of a game week, this game week, but
it's not even finished yet.
It's not even finished yet, but we will be back for game week 36 and 37 and 38 to wrap up the season and hope. I'm really, hoping that you'll finish top 1K, if not higher than that. But thank you so much for joining me on the show, for the second time. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get you back on the show next season as well. But yeah, Pabs, do you want to plug in your show and your socials where everyone can find you?
Yeah, thank you for having me again on the show, by the way. It's always fun to come on. And I was actually surprised it said 2.5 hours. It didn't feel like it's been 2.5 hours. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable. And everyone in the chat as well has been great. So thank you. My channel is at FPL Impulse. You'll find YouTube, Twitter. I do a bit of TikTok as well, but really it's YouTube and Twitter where you'll probably see more of my content. I try and do 3 videos a week, try and do my journey. And then I've been trying in this Impulse hour where I try and
Yeah, I
cover
like that.
sort of more.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to do a bit more long form ideas and putting things in there as well. So do check that out. Although this is probably the worst week because I will be away all week. But beyond that, I'll be going back to normal. And yeah, if I can come back next year, then I will absolutely do that. So thank you.
Yeah, it sounds great. Thank you so much, Pabs. Please do follow Pabs. Please do like and subscribe. Really appreciate everyone that has tuned in for a majority of this stream. If you have, fantastic. Thank you so much. Leave a comment afterwards. Let us know like what you're thinking about game week 36 and the remainder few game weeks that you have. What are you thinking about captaincy? I think like captaincy is a conversation that I think you and I, Pabs, we've touched on in terms of like what we're thinking for our teams. But I think captaincy is wide open again. This game week. So yeah, let us know what you're thinking about captaincy. Yeah, I agree. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure chatting. Everyone in the chat, thank you if you're tuning in afterwards. Yeah, please do enjoy. Leave us a comment and wishing you a green arrow this game week and game week 35. So hopefully the final game is a good one for you and you've got players and unlike, Pabs and I've got 2 players that will probably not get me that many points. Let's see. But I'm looking forward to chatting a little bit more about game week 36 and how that goes after some of the moves that we make as well. So wishing everyone green arrows. Enjoy the rest of the week, enjoy the Champions League, and catch you hopefully next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Speak soon.